Chapter 786. Something happened in the sea? Fan Tong's heart tightened, and without waiting for the others to react, he took the lead and rushed out. The direction he was heading was the Sixth Sea. In Fan Tong's heart, nothing was more important than Fan Jinjin. At this moment, Fan Jinjin obviously had an accident. Master. Lin Yuan didn't know what happened, and only waited for Lin Yu's order. Lin Yu also said something to him, and then went to the Venerable Hall. He was different from Fan Tong, and he was more far-sighted. If Fan Tong went to the Sixth Sea, and it was useless, then the best way was to let Venerable Wuya do it himself. The feeling of the fluctuation just now had made Lin Yu sure that something terrible had happened in the Sixth Sea. At this moment, Lin Yu had already arrived at the hall where Venerable Wuya was. I already know. Venerable Wuya didn't wait for Lin Yu to speak, taking the initiative to speak first. And from his expression, this was the first time Lin Yu had seen him reveal a frown. Lin Yu's expression also turned solemn when he saw a supreme expert acting like this. But so many years of temperament told him that he must be calm in this kind of situation. Venerable Wuya, please make a trip to the Sixth Sea, Lin Yu said with a fist salute. At the same time, Lin Yuan also came forward and said the same thing. With the status of the two of them, saying this sentence to Venerable Wuya at the same time would make Venerable Wuya think carefully. Let's go. Venerable Wuya didn't think for long, stood up, and came to the side of the two. The next moment, a teleportation force enveloped the three of them. Outside the first sea, the three figures appeared, and turned into a stream of light running through the sea at an amazing speed, passing through countless sea areas and sea beasts. Lin Yu soon saw Fan Tong below, but compared to Venerable Wuya's speed, Fan Tong was obviously much slower. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan also came to the Sixth Sea under the guidance of Venerable Wuya. This place had already become a stretch of ruins. After the war with the Eighth Sea, the Sixth Sea was originally full of holes. Now, all of the buildings had turned into ruins and collapsed. Not a single complete palace remained. Lin Yu was worried that something had happened to Fan Jinjin. He spread out his divine sense and looked down. As soon as he landed, he felt a shocking power. The source of this power was in Fan Jinjin's palace. Lin Yu erupted with all his cultivation and instantly closed in. However, just as he approached, a beam of red light shot up into the sky and destroyed Fan Jinjin's palace once again. Lin Yu was affected by this red light. His peak equilibrium realm 3 elemental fusion realm burst forth, coupled with the defense of the Buddha Garuda, was unable to withstand the red light for even an instant. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated a few steps. However, Lin Yu knew that now was not the time to heal. He activated his space-time value and immediately reset his injuries. And by the time he raised his head to look at the red light, Venerable Boundless had already attacked. What are the people of the primitive continent doing in my realm C? Venerable Wuya's voice was cold to the extreme. At the same time, it was filled with dense killing intent as a palm blasted out. In an instant, the entire sky above the boundless sea was covered by a palm energy. This palm energy crushed down, causing the sea to churn and the 33 seas to tremble. As for the red light, it paused for a moment under the power of the palm. Within the red light, a similar palm energy shot up into the sky and collided with Venerable Boundless palm energy. That palm energy was no match for Venerable Boundless at first, but soon, a tyrannical suction force erupted from the palm energy. Before Venerable Boundless could react, his palm energy was completely neutralized by the other party, and that red light also broke through the sky and left the boundless sea. This person did not have the slightest intention to continue fighting. So, even if Venerable Boundless wanted to chase at this moment, it was already too late. Above 10,000 souls, someone at the Spirit King realm? Venerable Boundless narrowed his eyes and sank into contemplation. Spirit King realm, the cultivation method of the primitive continent. Which power did this person belong to? He actually dared to break the rules of the three realms and invade the Realm Sea. And in the central region of the Realm Sea, a gaze opened at the same time. That gaze instantly enveloped the entire Realm Sea and locked onto the direction the red light left in. Primitive continent, Buddha Lord, you should give me an explanation. The voice boomed above the Realm Sea, causing the sea to churn endlessly. This battle seemed to have broken the peaceful relationship between the Realm Sea and the primitive continent for 1,000 years. Within the boundless sea, Lin Yu came out from Fan Jinjin's palace in disappointment. Fan Jinjin was not in the palace, and Lin Yu spread out his divine perception, but he could not find any trace of her at all. In the entire Sixth Sea there was no one alive. At this moment, Fan Tong also dared to come. Looking at the scene in front of him, he immediately asked Lin Yu. After knowing that Fan Jinjin's whereabouts were unknown, Fan Tong immediately shed tears. It's them, Fan Tong said repeatedly. And Lin Yu also frowned and comforted him. There's no corpse of Jinjin, which means she's not dead yet. Lin Yu recalled the red light that soared into the sky from Fan Jinjin's palace. He turned to the Venerable One, clasped his hands and asked, Venerable One, may I ask if there were two auras in that red light? Although Venerable Wuya could not keep them here, he was certain of this point. It seemed that Venerable Wuya had guessed something after seeing Fan Tong's appearance. That person took Fan Jinjin away. He was sure that he was not mistaken. Hearing this, Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. At least the other party did not immediately kill her, which proved that keeping Fan Jinjin alive was still necessary for them. This way, at least Fan Jinjin would not be harmed in a short period of time. After telling this news to Fan Tong's complexion recovered a little. He grabbed Lin Yu's hand and said, Lin Yu is from the Nangong family. Nangong Ming's people? Lin Yu remembered that Fan Jinjin's mother was from the Nangong family. And as he recalled, the move that the other party had used against Venerable Boundless just now also seemed to have a familiar feeling. It seemed to be the devouring starry sky. Thinking of this, Lin Yu went to the place where he comprehended the devouring starry sky. As expected, there were still traces left behind by the aura in the red light. That person had been here. And inside the cave there were also traces of being rummaged through. He came to find this thing? Lin Yu touched his chest. Nangong Ming had inserted the devouring starry sky into his body. And from Nangong Ming's memories, the Nangong family on the primitive continent also had the devouring starry sky, and that devouring starry sky was a set. But Lin Yu's body was the main one. The other party came to find the main devouring starry sky that Nangong Ming had taken away back then. Lin Yu did not tell anyone about this guess, but he was basically certain now that they had taken Fan Jinjin away for the main devouring starry sky. As long as he had the main devouring starry sky, Fan Jinjin's life would not be in danger. Chapter 787. The Nangong Family. She's really my daughter, not a member of your Nangong family. Fan Tong shouted, rising to his feet as if he'd made up his mind. I'm here to bring you back. Just as he was about to attack, he was stopped by Lin Yu. Child, what are you doing? Lin Yu could understand Fan Tong's emotional turmoil, but his tone remained calm. Lin Yu knew that no amount of consolation would work, so he only said, I'll bring Jinjin back. His words carried an undeniable weight that calmed Fan Tong down. Fan Tong immediately calmed down. He never would have guessed that a young man like him would be so determined. Had it been anyone else in the boundless sea, Fan Tong wouldn't have believed them. But Lin Yu gave him the feeling that he was incomparably firm. That was a gaze of absolute trust. I understand. Fan Tong calmed down. He knew that in his current state, even facing Grand Preceptor one would require Lin Yu to save the day, not to mention facing off against the colossal Nangong family. The top families of the primitive continent were as powerful as the entire boundless sea. Fan Tong, on the other hand, was only the lord of the Sixth Sea. Compared to the Nangong family, he'd have trouble even becoming a minor family head. I'll go to the primitive continent to help you look for her. Honorable Wuya said this to Fan Tong out of respect for Lin Yu. Normally, he wouldn't have bothered with such small matters. But he was the lord of the boundless sea, and someone from the primitive continent had stepped into his territory to capture someone. This was a slap to his face. Honorable Wuya of this. Fan Tong was flattered, but Lin Yu said, "Thank you for your trouble, Honorable Wuya. But Fan Jinjin is mine, and I'll go get her myself." Honorable Wuya narrowed his eyes. He hadn't expected this kid to be so confident. Could it be that the expert in the red light didn't scare him? Thinking of this, Venerable Wuya didn't forget to take down Lin Yu's spirit a bit, so he reminded him, "That person's cultivation is not below mine, and when he fought with me, the cultivation method he used had already surpassed the level of ordinary cultivation methods." Reverend Wuya paused for a moment before continuing, "It seems to be a sacred art." He originally thought that Lin Yu would be a little surprised, but who knew that the other's gaze was still calm and unperturbed. "You noticed it too?" Venerable Wuya asked probingly. "Yes." Lin Yu just nodded casually. "When are we leaving for Sequencer City?" The Sequencer City is located in the primordial continent. When the time comes to gather the younger generation of the three realms, we'll be able to see if there are any clues. Venerable Wuya didn't know who this person was, so he didn't have much information. He was still guessing the other party's background. As for Fan Tong and Lin Yu, although they knew who the other party was, they didn't say anything at this moment. After all, the fewer people who know about Fan Jinjin's background, the safer Fan Jinjin will be. "We can go now." After Venerable Wuya finished speaking, he saw that Lin Yuan and Lin Yu were both here, so he didn't stop. He took the two people, and once again shrouded in the light of teleportation. This teleportation was similar to Lin Yu's in the Sky Desert universe, but the distance wasn't as far as the Sky Desert universe. The next moment, the three people had already arrived in the sky above the boundless sea. Lin Yu guessed that even with Venerable Wuya's cultivation, he could only teleport freely in the boundless sea. Once out of the boundless sea, he would need to step on air like other martial cultivators. "Are we going directly to the Sequencer City?" Lin Yu asked. Venerable Wuya nodded. "Yes, we don't have to wait for people from other sea regions, they are used to being alone, not to mention." Venerable Wuya said meaningfully, "It's not only the people of the primitive continent and the heavenly domain who are opponents of you too, even the other sequences of the world's sea are your opponents. There is no distinction between three realms in the sequence battle, but it is a time for the younger generation to show their strength and let hundreds of millions of creatures see the light of potential in you." When Venerable Wuya's voice fell, even Lin Yu and Lin Yuan were looking forward to it. The powerhouses in the Sequencer City must be more powerful than the opponents they had encountered before. "You can fight well," Lin Yu said to Lin Yuan. The latter nodded excitedly. Lin Yu raised the corners of his mouth, knowing that Lin Yuan was originally a monster. His strength needs to be slowly reflected in countless battles. Only constant fighting can make Lin Yuan progress. The three people moved forward quickly, encountering several streams of light on the way, and also approaching the Sequencer City in a very fast way. "It's people from other sea regions," Venerable Wuya said. "The 7 great sea regions of the world sea have 7 venerables, and the strength of these people may not be weaker than Venerable Wuya. Therefore, this trip is not only a battle of sequences, but also an opportunity for Spirit King realm powerhouses to gather." "How many powerhouses of the Heavenly God list are there in the World Sea?" Lin Yu asked curiously. The sequence ranking is not his goal, the Heavenly God list is. Especially the third ranker of the Heavenly God list, the powerhouse who had disappeared for countless years. When Lin Yu heard of his legend, he always felt a sense of familiarity. Venerable Wuya said, "The venerables of the 7 great sea regions, plus the master of the world sea, a total of 8. Lin Yu nodded. The heavenly god list has a total of 30. And there are 8 in the world sea, the other 2 great forces, plus those small forces that don't belong to the 3 realms, a total of 22 powerhouses of the heavenly god list. This distribution is reasonable. Don't worry, the people of the heavenly god list won't fight in the sequencer city. This is the rule. Venerable Wuya thought that Lin Yu was worried about this point, so he reminded him. But what Lin Yu cared about was, who set the rule? Venerable Wuya smiled. Naturally, it's the first ranker of the heavenly god list, the 6-winged divine king. Only the first ranker of the heavenly god list can make all the powerhouses of the heavenly god list accept him wholeheartedly. The 3 of them quickly moved forward, already leaving several sea regions. In front of them, a boundless brown continent appeared. This continent is incomparably large, the largest continent that Lin Yu has ever seen. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that even if the sky desert universe were to expand 10 times, it might not be as large as this continent. And just as Lin Yu and the other 2 were about to land, beneath the world sea, seawater actually surged. A massive wave that surged to the heavens suddenly blocked the 3 of them. Facing the massive wave, the 3 of them stopped at the same time. Venerable Wuya's gaze was calm, casually waving his hand. That massive wave scattered, but behind the massive wave, a massive dragon head stretched out. This dragon head was the size of a 1,000,000-foot mountain range, and the dragon head was connected beneath the world sea. Clearly, even more parts were hidden beneath the world sea. It was hard to imagine just how massive the entire dragon body was. Lord Sea God. Chapter 788. Venerable Wuya put his palms together, and when he saw the dragon head, he changed his usual aloof appearance and bowed with his fists. The Poseidon didn't speak, but glanced at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with his huge dragon eyes. Venerable Wuya looked a little nervous. He didn't know why the Poseidon of the realm sea would appear. Obviously, Lin Yu observed the reaction of Venerable Wuya and knew that the status of the Poseidon was probably higher than his in this realm sea. Lin Yu pays respect to Lord Poseidon. Since it was a more powerful thigh, Lin Yu naturally couldn't neglect it. Seeing this, Lin Yuan also learned from Lin Yu and bowed. You shouldn't be here. The voice of the Poseidon came, but Venerable Wuya and Lin Yuan didn't react at all. Lin Yu immediately realized that this was what the Poseidon said to him alone. Why can't I be here? Lin Yu asked with a frown. The Poseidon's gaze was still on Lin Yu, and he paused for a long time without speaking. Venerable Wuya also stood in the air, not daring to say a word. The 3 just waited. Half an hour later, the Poseidon continued to transmit his voice. Old friend, it seems that you have forgotten. It was similar words again. Lin Yu couldn't help but look solemn. The existence of the Poseidon was like a great demon of heaven and earth that had lived for thousands of years. He said such a sentence, which was exactly the same as what Ling Xiao had said in the beginning. What did I forget? Lin Yu asked again. The Poseidon hesitated for a moment before saying, You will know in the future, old friend. This is your predestined fate and also your good fortune. After saying that, a crystal bead flew over the dragon eyes of the Poseidon. The bead was noticed by Venerable Wuya, and the latter's mind immediately roared. Dragon bead! As soon as his voice fell, he saw the dragon bead fall into Lin Yu's hands. Old friend, in times of crisis, you can activate the dragon bead. This time, I hope you can take back the glory that belongs to you. The sea god left behind another sentence. From beginning to end, Lin Yuan and Venerable Wuya didn't hear a single word. It was as if Poseidon had specifically come to find Lin Yu. Following the dragon head entering, Realm Sea regained its calm once more. Venerable Boundless let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the palm-sized crystal bead in Lin Yu's hand. You know the sea god? Looking at Venerable Wuya's astonished expression, Lin Yu could only slowly say, An old acquaintance. He didn't know the sea god, but the sea god knew him, so he had to act tough. Why didn't you say so earlier? After Lin Yu put away the Dragon Balls, the three of them continued forward. Venerable Boundless thought to himself that he was lucky that he hadn't offended Lin Yu before. Otherwise, when the sea god descended, he feared that he would be the one to suffer a calamity. The Venerable One seems to be very afraid of the sea god. Lin Yu deliberately asked tentatively. After experiencing Lin Yu's act, Venerable Boundless thought that Lin Yu also knew about the sea god's situation. He naturally took the bait easily and told him everything. Don't tell me you don't know about the existence of other divine beasts besides the sea god? Please tell me, Venerable. The sequence list is the list of the younger generation of the human race. The divine god list is the ranking of the strongest of the human race. In the 3 realms and 5 regions there are not only the human race but also the monster beasts. The monster beasts and the human race coexist, and the monster beasts' bodies are tyrannical, far stronger than that of the human race. Their lifespans are also longer. The strength of the monster beasts that have lived for tens of millions of years is not something that the human race can match. Therefore, the 6-winged Divine King once set up another list for the monster beasts, called the Demon God List, which means that it is on par with the Divine God List. It also shows that the 6-winged Divine King, as the strongest of the human race, attaches great importance to the monster beasts. It is because of the Demon God List that the monster beasts and the human race share the world. Therefore, the conflicts of tens of millions of years were avoided. As Venerable Boundless spoke, he was deeply impressed by the 6-winged Divine King. Under the Divine King's conferment, the first on the Demon God List became the Heavenly Region's Guardian God. The first on the Demon God List. Yes, the first on the Demon God List, the Phoenix God. It devours the solar golden flame and is a monster beast with the purest yang energy in the 3 realms and 5 regions. It is also worthy of being called the strongest monster beast. As for our sea god, he is from the dragon race with the purest yin energy. He coexists with the cold air of the border sea and has the strength to match the Phoenix god. However, in the Divine King's eyes, the sea god is slightly inferior, so he is ranked 2nd on the Demon God List. As for the 3rd on the Demon God List, it is the guardian god of the primitive continent. Before Venerable Boundless finished speaking, the 3 of them had already entered the primitive continent. On the continent, Lin Yu had just landed when he felt an extremely strong pressure. This pressure did not come from above the primitive continent, but from below. There was something below the continent. Lin Yu thought in his heart. Venerable Boundless also stopped talking about the Demon God List. I will tell you in detail about the Demon God List in the future. Let's go in first. As he walked, he also began to pay attention to the people around him. Looks like the people from the Sky region have not arrived yet. That's right. These guys always think that they are the rulers of the 3 realms and 5 regions, so they like to appear last. Venerable Boundless muttered and continued, there is a rule in the sequencing monarch city. The Spirit King realm is not allowed to fight. I came with you only to watch the battle. The other experts on the Demon God List will not fight, so you can rest assured. There should be myriad Spirit Realm experts in the sequence battle, right? Lin Yu asked. Venerable Boundless smiled, of course. The weakest is probably the 4 Symbols realm. There should be quite a number of myriad Spirit Realm experts, so the 2 of you should be careful. The 2 of them looked at each other and did not have any fear at all. Back then, Ling Zhao's combat strength was infinitely close to the myriad Spirit Realm, but he still could not withstand Lin Yu's space-time reset punch. As for these people now, although their realms might be stronger than Ling Xiao, their foundation was definitely not as strong as Ling Zhao's. After all, Lin Yu had guessed that Ling Xiao and the Sky Desert Universe appeared together. Tens of millions of years ago, Ling Zhao's realm could already form a world of his own. How could the younger generation look down on him? Aren't they from the boundless sea? However, before Lin Yu and the other two entered the primitive continent's main city gate, they heard a strange voice. Venerable Boundless stopped and looked behind him. There were also 3 people walking over. The leader's combat strength was so strong that he burst out with a shocking pressure. Lin Yu and Lin Yuan immediately knew that he was in the Spirit King realm. As for the other 2, they were also 4 symbols realm expert. Chaos Demon Venerable, how have you been? Venerable Boundless casually greeted with a fist salute. Chaos Demon Venerable laughed. He was tall and dark, giving people a feeling that it was difficult for strangers to get close to him. At this moment, he stared at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with a strange smile on his face. Boundless, you are getting worse and worse. Why did you bring a person with no cultivation to participate in the sequence battle? Chaos Demon Venerable ridiculed without holding back. Chapter 789. Lin Yu could already tell that this person was hostile towards him. There were also the 2 4 symbols realm powerhouses behind him. The person on the left had a pair of wings on his back, and his face was half human and half eagle. Clearly, he was not a normal human. Although the person on the right looked like a human, there were a few scars on his face, and the calluses on his right hand were extremely thick. Those were calluses that could only be formed by using weapons all year round. This person was proficient in weapons, and Lin Yu could tell from his calluses that it was not a light weapon. It should be a spear or a broadsword. I'm just bringing the juniors here to have some fun. I'm not like Supremacy Chaos Demon, who brought his 2 inner disciples here. Venerable Wuya coldly laughed. Master, I can see that these 2 brothers from the boundless sea are extremely powerful. Would it be possible for me to spar with them? Hearing Venerable Wuya's words, the half-human half-demon 4 symbols stage expert from the chaotic demon sea also spoke. This was a provocation. You and I are both from the low-class sea region. What's there to fight about? The mid-class and upper-class people will be here soon. Venerable Wuya had the intention to decline. Seeing this, how could that half-human half-demon let it go so easily? Senior Wuya is right. We are all people from the lower sea region, so we should naturally learn from each other and improve ourselves. Otherwise, how can we fight against people from the upper sea region? My disciple is right. Venerable Chaos Demon thought that the people of the boundless sea were afraid to fight. Naturally, he would not miss the opportunity to add insult to injury. When the time came, any sequence expert would be an enemy. For now, he would deal with as many as he could. Not to mention, Supremacy Chaos Demon and Supremacy Boundless had a personal grudge. I'm Cheongqi, a half-demon from the chaotic demonic sea. Who's going first? The half-demon Cheongqi took a step forward and flapped its wings. Immediately, a storm formed between the 6 of them. He sneered and looked at Lin Yu and Lin Yuan, or both of you can come together. Venerable Wuya's mood immediately turned bad. He didn't want to stir up trouble so early, but there was nothing he could do about it. Kind people were easily bullied. Even though the chaotic demon sea was similarly a lower sea region of the realm sea. However, in the lower current sea region there were also their own battles. This was especially true for Supremacy Chaos Demon, who was already displeased with him. The reason for this was because he was 1 rank higher than him on the Heavenly God list. Hehe, since this junior is so interested, Brother Wuya, you won't refuse, right? Honorable Chaos Demon's laughter rang out. Clearly, he wasn't sincerely asking for Honorable Boundless' opinion, because in the next instant, he had already indicated for the half-monster Cheongqi to attack. Let me do it. Lin Yuan took a step forward, but a shadow suddenly flashed beside him. It was Lin Yu attacking at an even faster speed. So you have a cultivation base. Seeing Lin Yu attack, the half-demon Cheongqi made its own judgment. It also flapped its wings at an extremely fast speed and shot out towards Lin Yu. As for Lin Yu, The corners of his mouth curled up as he gathered the 5 elemental palm in his palm and clashed with the Cheongchi's claw. The second heaven of 4 symbols? Lin Yu had already determined his opponent's strength the moment they clashed. As for Cheongchi, he knew nothing about Lin Yu's combat strength. When Cheongchi's claw was blocked by the 5 elemental palm, he flapped his wings and disappeared from the spot. At their level, they were no longer fools who would easily underestimate their opponent. Therefore, Cheongchi didn't hold back, because the first exchange of blows with Lin Yu was enough to attract his attention. Unfortunately, when Cheongchi burst out with extreme speed, Lin Yu also smiled faintly. He activated his black feathers, and a pair of wings suddenly burst out from his back. "Are you the only one with wings?" The pair of wings were deep and dark, 100 times more beautiful than Cheongchi's wings, as if an exquisite work of art had appeared on Lin Yu's back. With a casual flap of his wings, the storm suddenly subsided, and Lin Yu's figure turned into a black light and rushed out. Exalted Chaos Demon and Exalted Boundless were stunned when they saw this scene. Cheongchi was half monster, half human, so it wasn't strange for him to have wings. However, Lin Yu looked at him and saw that he was completely human. Why did he have wings? This kid is indeed related to the sky region. Supremacy Wuya confirmed his guess. Coupled with the sea god and Lin Yu's acquaintance, could this kid be the reincarnation of some important figure? Otherwise, why would the sea god appear personally? That was a top-tier expert that even the 6-winged divine king was wary of. Supremacy Wuya became even more vigilant at the thought. Although spirit kings couldn't attack in the sequence Monarch City, he could use his aura to stop Cheongchi. Supremacy Wuya was just in case. If Lin Yu was injured by Cheongchi, he could save Lin Yu immediately. However, Supremacy Wuya's worries were proven to be unnecessary in the next moment. Lin Yu caught up to Cheongchi. "Darn it, why are you so fast?" Cheongchi turned pale with fright. Lin Yu not only dodged several of his attacks, but also attacked him at an even faster speed. If he had not burned his cultivation to dodge a few attacks, he was afraid that he would have been hit several times by Lin Yu. And since Lin Yu had attacked, he naturally wouldn't give his opponent a chance to catch his breath. The next moment, Buddha's roar erupted as the black wings transformed into golden wings. It was in the form of a golden-winged rock. Coupled with Buddha's roar and the speed boost from the black wings, he caught up to Cheongchi. "Bastard, I'm the strongest expert of the Chaos Demon C's younger generation. How can I lose to you?" As Cheongchi roared, his demonic aura erupted. However, under the golden light, the dominance of the divine ability made his demonic aura stagnate for an instant as though it had met its nemesis. All it took was an instant for Lin Yu to slam into his body. A violent boom resounded through the sky. Sequence Monarch City was located at the edge of the primitive continent. It was a city that was designated separately, and most of the people in Sequence Monarch City came from the primitive continent. At that moment, when these people looked over, they could only sense the powerful battle fluctuations. "It looks like the sequence battle this time will be very intense. Isn't that so? They haven't even entered Sequence Monarch City, and the battle has already begun. I wonder which faction is so impatient. I saw it just now. It seems to be those people from the Realm C's despicable sea region. What a joke. The true big shots haven't appeared yet, so why are they so anxious?" Outside Monarch City, Supremacy Chaos Demon cursed inwardly. "Oh no!" But just as he was about to attack, a nomological stream of light appeared on his body. The stream of light was faintly discernible, as though it wasn't dangerous at all. However, Supremacy Chaos Demon did not dare move at all because of the stream of light. This was because the stream of light represented the rules of Sequence Monarch City. Spirit monarchs were not allowed to attack, and this rule was set by the 6-winged godly monarch. Even if Supremacy Chaos Demon had 10,000 guts, he wouldn't dare defy it. "Insolent! You dare injure others when sparring?" Supremacy Chaos Demon bellowed coldly as he shot a look at another Sequence Monarch from Chaos Demon C behind him. That Sequence Monarch immediately understood and rapidly went forward. Domineering Saber Guyi, please enlighten me. Chapter 790. This person knew that the half-monster Cheong Chi was about to be defeated, so he directly joined the battle with a tough attitude. Lin Yuan wanted to make a move, but in the next moment, he heard a mournful cry. It was the half-monster Cheong Chi's painful roar. At the location where he and Lin Yu were fighting just now, two black shadows, one above and one below, smashed into the ground. The ground collapsed, and a deep pit was directly smashed out. Before Domineering Blade Guyi could make a move, two figures appeared in the deep pit as dust and stones fell. One was standing, and the other was being stepped on. Lin Yu looked down at the half-monster Cheong Chi below with a calm and indifferent gaze. His wings had been broken, and his whole body was dripping with blood. Since the other party had made a move, he would not be polite. Domineering Blade Guyi, who originally wanted to get involved, also felt a sense of dread when he saw this scene. The half-monster Cheong Chi was obviously dead, but what made Domineering Blade Guyi not dare to make a move casually was Lin Yu's aura. It was calm and without waves. It was as if the battle with the half-monster Cheong Chi just now did not consume much of his physical strength. This boy still had the strength to continue fighting. Do you want to try to? Lin Yu looked over. He was obviously young, but the domineering intent in his eyes made Domineering Blade Guyi feel a chill down his spine. Domineering Blade Guyi was speechless for a long time. He did not need to say it. Behind him, Venerable Chaos Demon also realized that Lin Yu's murderous intent had directly suppressed Domineering Blade Guyi. Not only that, but he also killed his inner disciple, the half-monster Cheong Chi. Very good, there is actually such a powerful junior. Venerable Chaos Demon's gaze was gentle as he looked at Venerable Wuya. No one could see his anger. Wuya, it seems that your people are very powerful. This old man was blind. No, this junior was fooling around and accidentally killed someone. Please don't take offense, Brother Chaos Demon. Venerable Wuya also smiled in response. These powerhouses on the Divine God list were not easily angered. On the contrary, the calmer they were, the more likely it was that a storm was coming. However, Honorable Wuya knew that even though Honorable Chaos Demon was determined to kill Lin Yu, he couldn't do anything about it. In Sequentian City, a Spirit King Realm cultivator could only act as a deterrent, but he couldn't really make a move. But once they left the Sequencer City, Venerable Wuya was sure that this old man would kill Lin Yu. However, how could he, Venerable Boundless, be someone easy to deal with? Even if this old man wants to take offense, there's nothing I can do about it. You're one of Venerable Boundless people. How can this old man really vent his anger on him? Chaos Demon Venerable said with a calm smile. Hiding a dagger in a smile, that was exactly what they meant. Honorable Wuya was too lazy to pay attention to him. He waved his hand towards Lin Yu and shouted, "Let's go in." Lin Yu didn't even look at the half-demon Cheong Chi's corpse. Guyi was so scared that he didn't dare to attack. Just as they were about to enter the Sequencer City, another force appeared above the Realm Sea. Just like Boundless Sea and Chaos Demon Sea, although the three forces came from different places, they were all in a group of three. The female sequence of Purple Cloud Sea is really beautiful. Isn't that so? Such a beauty with such a strong cultivation. I wonder what kind of man is worthy of her. Everyone first saw the three figures from Purple Cloud Sea. The aura of the leader was tyrannical, comparable to that of Venerable Wuya. Lin Yu judged that the other party was definitely a Spirit King Realm Venerable from Purple Cloud Sea. Brother Wuya, Brother Chaos Demon, you're still one step ahead of me. Venerable Zixia greeted him. Behind her was a white-clothed woman and a purple-clothed woman. The two women had a cold expression, and their temperament was firm. But when Lin Yu saw the white-clothed woman, he laughed in his heart. King of Hell, come up and greet. Venerable Zixia signaled the two people behind her to come forward. The purple-clothed woman clasped her hands. She was clearly a woman, but she had the appearance of a man. Purple Cloud sees Azura Palace's female king of hell greets Venerable Wuya and Venerable Chaos Demon. The white-clothed woman also glanced at Lin Yu, but she knew that this wasn't the best time to recognize him. She bowed and said, Jade Fairy Sex Qin greets Seniors Wuya and Chaos Demon. Haha, when did Venerable Zixia take in two such beautiful women? Venerable Wuya couldn't help but be shocked by the appearance of the two women. Even with his experience, he hadn't seen many people more beautiful than these two. Especially Qin. In Venerable Wuya's eyes, her beauty had reached the level of perfection. My purple cloud sees female disciples' hearts and minds are united. They won't be tainted by the feelings of the secular world. Brother Wuya, don't think too much. Venerable Zixia warned without any trace of politeness. Venerable Wuya just smiled apologetically. What are you saying? I just admire them. How could there be feelings between men and women? His old face turned scarlet. Venerable Zixia's words were so embarrassing. You're so old, yet you still don't control yourself. Venerable Wuya, you're quite the romantic. Two more groups of people arrived. Venerable Vast Expanse, Venerable Nine Serenities. Venerable Zixia clasped his hands in greeting. The Purple Cloud Sea, Boundless Sea, and Chaos Demon Sea were the lower seas. The ones arriving now were the Middle Seas Vast Expanse and Nine Serenities Sea. Greet them. Venerable Vast Expanse was dressed in a long robe with the demeanor of a transcendent being. He waved his hand, and the two behind him stepped forward. Vast Expanse sees Daoseeker Sex 3 lives kill. Vast Expanse sees 10,000 Buddha palaces Shur Rulai. Greetings, Venerables. The two disciples brought by Venerable Vast Expanse attracted the attention of Lin Yu, Qin Yi, and the others. One of them was dressed in a Taoist robe, while the other was a Buddhist. Both of their auras were extremely tyrannical, and were not something that Xiong Qi and Gu Yi could match. At the same time, the two of them glanced at the other sequences present. Although there was no obvious expression in their eyes, they retracted their gazes after a single glance. It was clear that no one present was worthy of their attention. You two greet them too. Venerable Nine Serenities was dressed in a black and white robe. He looked both righteous and evil, and was somewhat different from ordinary people. Two figures walked out from behind him. Just like Venerable Nine Serenities, they also had a strange appearance. White impermanence of the blue sea tide. Immortal slaying sect Lin Xiu. Greetings, Venerables. White impermanence was like half a living corpse, without the slightest hint of vitality. As for the other person, he had a bewitching appearance. His white hair hung behind his back, and his pupils were vertical. However, his appearance caught exalted Wuya's attention. Why does he look exactly like you, kid? Venerable Wuya whispered. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled noncommittally. Who knows? Interesting, Qin Yi and Lin Xiu were both here. And it seemed that they had both become sequences. Lin Xiu also saw Lin Yu and their eyes met for a short while. The former raised his eyebrows, seemingly showing off that he had entered the Middle Seas. And Lin Yu was still in the lower seas. Childish. Chapter 791. Lin Yuan couldn't help but speak up. Lin Yu smirked and naturally wouldn't lower himself to Lin Xiu's level. Ever since Lin Xiu was born, he had always had an instinctive desire to compete with Lin Yu. Lin Yu also acquiesced to this. After all, there would only be improvement when there was competition. As for Lin Yu's true thoughts, Lin Yu knew better than anyone else. Lin Xiu and Lin Yuan were the same, they had a special connection and were no longer two pure individuals. It seems that the Upper Sea region is coming soon. Venerable Wuya laughed. The 5 venerables looked at each other and also looked in the direction of the realm sea. There, 2 forces were approaching at an extremely fast speed. The aura of these 2 people was so strong that it seemed to suppress the experts from the vast ocean and 9 remoteness ocean. It seems that the few of you have arrived first. The first faction that arrived was a red-haired old man. Behind him were 3 disciples. Lin Yu guessed that these 3 people were all sequences. Could it be that the people from the upper sea region could have 3 sequences? Greet them, the red-haired old man said coldly. Behind him, 2 men and a woman bowed at the same time. Xian Ming Sea Sky Sea Region Lord Lei Dong. Sword Pavilion Lord Shimen Wuxue. Which tribe Jiu Feng? Greetings to the 5 sea lords. These 4 people were from the upper sea region, Xian Ming Sea. The person leading them was Venerable Xian Ming. Venerable Xian Ming didn't look at the people from the middle and lower sea regions. It seemed that in his eyes, these people weren't worth mentioning. He looked in the direction of the realm sea and at the same time, the people from the last sea also arrived. Di Luo, you're still so slow? Venerable Xian Ming laughed coldly and there was some dissatisfaction in his tone. The strongest sea region naturally has to be the finale. The leader was a white-haired old man. He was supposed to have the demeanor of a transcendent being, but Lin Yu could feel an endless chill coming from him. This person had killed many people. Honorable Di Luo naturally wouldn't look at the other echelon cultivators. Just like Honorable Dark Nether, he only paid attention to those from the mysterious Nether Sea. In the eyes of these 2 upper sea regions, the people from the other sea regions of Realm Sea were no different from trash. Of course, the sovereigns of the vast expanse, 9 serenities, Violet Glow, Boundless, and Chaos Devil all sensed what was happening. However, in their eyes, this was already a common occurrence. If the upper sea region looked up to them, then why would the people below need to climb up? Seems like the sequences that Brother Di Luo brought are all very powerful? Haha, Honorable Xianming is too kind. The sequence battle hasn't even started yet. How can these be considered as real sequences? They're just some random titles that the few of us gave them. Venerable Emperor Luo's laughter rang out. The meaning behind his words was obvious. Those present were merely the contestants that they had selected in private. If he wanted to truly occupy the sequence rankings, he would need to go through the baptism of the sequence Emperor City battle. The 3 of you greet the venerables. Yes. Emperor Falling Sea, Demon God Laughing Ghost. Evil God Big Luo. Emperor Falling Sea Fiend God Jiang Yen. Greetings to the 6 venerables. Xian Ming and the others nodded politely. As for Honorable Zixia Si, she was the only female venerable. At this moment, her gaze landed on the 3 sequences that Di Luo brought and she couldn't help but squint her eyes. These 3 people's auras were very powerful. You all have to be careful. The people that Xianming Sea and Emperor Falling Sea brought are all in the myriad spirit realm. Qin Yi and Yama nodded at the same time. However, their eyes were also filled with seriousness. How were they going to fight against such powerful opponents? Especially Yama. Her aura was similar to Qin Yi's, but Qin Yi wasn't as nervous as her. This was because she knew that Lin Yu was here. Then, all the Sky Pride experts weren't worth mentioning in front of him. Qin Yi had already confirmed that the winner of this battle was Lin Yu. Even Lin Yu himself might not have thought that it would be so perfect, but Qin Yi had already thought of it for him. This was a feeling of unparalleled recognition and trust. The top experts of Border Sea had already gathered. Other than the supreme ruler of Border Sea, the other 7 venerables were all present. They had also arrived at the entrance of Sequencer City at the same time. My old friends, you're all here? At the entrance of Sequencer City, there were 4 major forces. These 4 groups of people had been waiting for a long time. They had even noticed the battle between Lin Yu and Qiongqi, but they wouldn't stop it. From the perspective of the competitors, they couldn't wait for Lin Yu and Qiongqi to die together. Lin Yu and the others also noticed that the four groups of people were wearing different clothes. Behind them, they were waving the battle flags of their respective camp. Dongwang, Nangong, Ximing, Beimoi. These are the four major families of primitive continent. There are hundreds of millions of living beings in primitive continent and tens of millions of sects, but these four major families are the strongest. Venerable Wuya explained softly at the side. Under the four major families, there are tens of thousands of sects and forces under their jurisdiction. Their forces are much greater than boundless sea. Lin Yu nodded. Primitive continent's territory was larger than Border Sea. Border Sea was divided into 7 major sea regions, with upper, middle, and lower. The strongest were in Profound Underworld and Emperor Fallen Sea region. Boundless Sea, Chaotic Demon Sea, Purple Cloud Sea and the like could only be in the lower sea region. Regardless of power or territory, they might not be evenly distributed. Hence, Boundless Sea was definitely not even 1/7 of Border Sea. However, the four major families were different. They occupied primitive continent with a long history. Their territory and fighting power were all top-notch. Even if there were other sects and forces in primitive continent that didn't submit any of the four major families. According to Lin Yu's judgment, they could be considered 1/5 of primitive continent's strength. I can see that, Lin Yu said casually. Venerable Wuya's face twitched. Although what he said was the truth, he didn't expect this brat to not give him any face. He couldn't be tactful at all. Lin Yu didn't have the mind to care about him. At this moment, his gaze had already landed on the Nangong family. Fan Zhenzhen should be in the Nangong family now. However, Lin Yu knew he couldn't be too hasty. What he was facing was a colossus. With his current strength, he couldn't fight against it at all. He needed to become a true sequence before gathering his own people to form a new force. As for whether he could fight against the Nangong family, that was a matter for the future. The sequence battle will begin tomorrow. I didn't expect everyone to be so impatient. The leader of the Dongwang family laughed. Venerable Xianming and Emperor Fallen were the two strongest venerables in Border Sea. The other venerables didn't even have much room to speak in front of the two of them. At this moment, Venerable Xianming took the lead and said, "Young Patriarch Dongwang came out to welcome us. We are also very flattered. However, where did the old Patriarch go? Why didn't he come out?" Chapter 792. Supremacy. Xianming's words were filled with dissatisfaction. Supremacy Di Luo also understood and said, "Haha, the patriarchs of the Nangong family, Ximing family, and Beimoi family are not here. This is interesting. Is the reputation of the 7 supremacies of the realm C so worthless?" The young patriarch of the Dongwang family seemed to have thought of an excuse. The patriarch has a more important guest to wait for, so he is not here. Please forgive him. The people of the Nangong family, Ximing family, and Beimoi family all sneered, as if they did not care about the anger of the 7 supremacies of the realm C. A more important guest? Supremacy. Xianming snorted. Who else can be more important than us 7 supremacies? Young patriarch, are your words the old patriarch's or your own? As soon as he finished speaking, Supremacy Xianming's aura exploded. He was an expert on the Divine God list, and was ranked much higher than Supremacy Wuya. His combat power was also much higher. Now that Supremacy Xianming was angry, the young patriarch of the Dongwang family could not help but change his expression. It was the same for the other 3 families. However, before Supremacy Xianming could say a second word, a huge hole suddenly appeared in the sky above the sequencer city. The hole was a cloud vortex. As it continued to spiral, it became bigger and bigger. In the vortex, thunder rumbled. A phoenix bathed in fire opened its arms as if it could cover half of the sky at will. The ancient Phoenix clan. Supremacy Xianming, Supremacy Di Luo, and the others could not help but change their expressions. The phoenix was the protector of the Qian domain. Although it was not the phoenix god who came this time, they had already guessed the origin of the phoenix bathed in fire. It was the descendant of the phoenix god. A few figures appeared on top of the phoenix. These figures did not land at the entrance of the sequencer city. Instead, they went straight to the central area. At the central area of the sequencer city, 4 auras exploded at the same time. Supremacy Xian Ming and the others immediately recognized them. The 4 auras belonged to the top experts on the Divine God list. The patriarchs of the Donghuang family, Nangong family, Ximing family, and Beimua family were all waiting in the central area. Obviously, the person on the phoenix's back was the more important person mentioned by the young patriarch of Donghuang Empire. The people of Tian, you have gone too far. Xian Ming and the others narrowed their eyes and directly entered the sequencer city. There were 8 people standing on the back of the phoenix. Those few should be your opponents, said Yi Futian. One of the 4 people in the lead said with a bit of laziness. His gaze landed on the entrance of Sequencing Emperor City. Over there were sequencing participants from Realm C. When his voice was heard, the 4 people behind him didn't even look at him. It seems that the 4 of you are very confident? The leader spoke again, his tone somewhat cold. Priest of Light, please calm down. The 4 of them knelt down at the same time. The Divine Priest of Light isn't angry. He's just teaching you. The other man also spoke. This person's clothes were pitch black and did not seem to be made of ordinary cloth. The pitch-black clothes seemed to contain the feeling of the rotation of the stars. If a mortal were to see this, they would definitely think that this person was wearing a starfield. After the man finished speaking, the 4 people behind him stood up, trembling with fear. They were no longer as arrogant as before. Why are you scaring these children? When the light divine priest heard this, he glanced at the dark divine priest who asked the question. If they continue like this, they might pay the price for their arrogance. The people of Realm C and Primitive Continent have been evenly matched with our heaven region for many years. How could they be as simple as they seem? All right. The Divine Priest of Light is right. The Divine Priest of Darkness was a little impatient with his words. The 2 people on the other side looked at each other and smiled, as if they were watching a play. You two don't relax. Although we can't fight in Sequencing Emperor City, we still need to maintain our dignity. The Divine Priest of Light looked at the other 2 people and said, Do you see? The patriarchs of the 4 families of Primitive Continent have begun to welcome us. His gaze fell on the 4 pillars of light that shot up into the sky. Are they welcoming us or shouting? A sharp light flashed in the eyes of the Divine Priest of Darkness. But in the next moment, he sensed something and sent his divine will to the entrance of Sequencing Emperor City. The people of Realm C had already entered deeper. Only the people of Primitive Continent and some mortals were left here. But the Divine Priest of Darkness's divine will was still echoing. What's wrong, Divine Priest of Darkness? The 4 people leading Qian, you were the Divine Priest of Light and Divine Priest of Darkness, as well as the Divine Priest of Wind and Divine Priest of Lightning. In addition to the 4 sequencers, there were only 8 people. This lineup seemed small, but it wasn't that Qian Yu didn't have enough sequencers. It represented Qian Yu's arrogance. Qian Yu's goal was to occupy the top 4 spots with the fewest people. The Divine Priest of Darkness has the sharpest divine will. Let him be. The Divine Priest of Light closed his eyes. The phoenix slowly descended. Outside Sequencing Emperor City, the Divine Priest of Darkness's divine will had already locked onto the place where Lin Yu and Qiong Qi had fought. What he cared about wasn't Qiong Qi, but a black feather on Qiong Qi's body that didn't belong to him. That guy, he's back? The Divine Priest of Darkness's divine will retracted. The Divine Priest of Wind and Divine Priest of Lightning immediately asked about the situation. Nothing, I was mistaken. The divine priest of darkness closed his mouth and didn't answer. Then the others didn't continue to ask. Now that the phoenix had landed and the clan leaders of the 4 major families had come in person, they knew it was not the time to find out. The 4 divine priests have come to sequencing Emperor City in person. I'm sorry I didn't go out to greet you. The one who spoke was the current clan leader of the Dongwang family, Dongwang Taishan. At this moment, under the leadership of Dongwang Taishan, the other 3 major families also walked out of the light pillar and came to the front of the phoenix. Facing the aura of the phoenix, the 4 of them couldn't help but feel nervous. This bastard's cultivation was at the spiritual king realm. The descendant of the number 1 on the demon god list was indeed extraordinary. Arrange a place for Lord Sky Phoenix to stay. Dongwang Taishan immediately arranged. The people of the 4 major families went to prepare. However, after sending the 8 people from the heavenly region to the heavenly region, the phoenix flapped its wings and flew to another place. Lord Sky Phoenix has other things to do. The divine priest of light spoke first. In that case, the 8 of you can go first. Dongwang Taishan wanted to exchange some pleasantries. However, the divine priest of darkness waved his hand and said with a smile, "Don't waste time. We are ordered to come here for the sequencing battle. When everyone is here, you can directly announce the selection method of the sequencing battle." Dongwang Taishan didn't expect the divine priest of darkness to be so decisive. Before he could speak, several figures had flown over from afar. Chapter 793. Hee, old Dongwang, you sent a few juniors to pick us up. Are you looking down on the people of Border Sea? The first to arrive was Honorable Xian Ming. Behind him were Di Luo, Song Mang and the others. Lin Yu followed behind Honorable Wuya. Seeing these big shots chasing each other, he did not get involved. He only glanced at Qin Yi on the way. It was not that he was impatient, but Qin Yi was more impatient than him. "Yi, why do you pay so much attention to the people of Boundless Sea?" the female Yama of Purple Cloud Sea asked. "He's handsome," Qin Yi said casually. The female Yama's face twitched. It was her first time hearing Qin Yi say that a man was handsome. Usually, Purple Cloud Sea was a world where women were superior to men. No man could enter their eyes. This was especially true for Qin Yi. After spending some time with her, Qin Yi was even more aloof than her. She didn't even bother to look at men. Why was she so lustful today? However, when everyone arrived, Qin Yi also looked away. The female Yama could not say anything. In front of them, the experts of divine ranking were gathered. There was no room for them to speak. When the juniors could only stand behind them, Dongwang Taishan smiled and said, "Brother Xian Ming, how have you been? Oh, Brother Di Luo is here too. I can't leave. As the master of the Sequence Emperor City, I should focus on the sequence battle." Dongwang Taishan said casually, "The 4 heavenly officials of Qianyu brought the sequence rule of 6-winged divine king. I have to understand the rule before I can pick you up." "Alright, I understand." Honorable Zixia Si did not want to listen to such fake words. Just like how the people of the Upper Sea looked down on the people of the Middle Sea. The people of the 4 families also looked down on the 7 honorables who were weaker than them. If it was really as Dongwang Taishan said, then wouldn't it be great to let the 2 clan leaders welcome the people of Qianyu and the 2 clan leaders welcome the people of Border Sea? However, the situation now was that the 4 clan leaders were gathered here to welcome the people of Qianyu. Instead, they ignored the people of Border Sea. Since everyone is here, let's begin. Heaven Domain's people didn't like socializing, especially towards people from the primitive continent and Realm Sea. Even though the 3 realms were safe and sound, in terms of power, they were evenly matched on the surface. However, in the eyes of the people of the Heaven Domain, the primitive continent and Realm Sea were still high and mighty. That was because the person ranked first on the heavenly god list was the six-winged divine king from the heaven region. The number one on the demon god list was also the phoenix god of the heaven region. Based on these 2 points, if the first place on the sequence list was taken by the Qingyun realm again, why would the Qingyun realm be on equal footing with the 2 realms? Hearing the divine light priest's words, everyone stopped arguing. Lin Yu was at the back. Although he couldn't see their faces clearly, he could tell their relationship from their words. It seemed like the heaven domain was still the strongest. Requesting the God King's decree, the divine priest of light walked to the highest point of the sequencer city and looked down. He raised his hands again and propped them up between heaven and earth. A shocking aura erupted from his hands. The aura was so strong that it instantly suppressed the light pillar formed by the 4 clan leaders. This scene caused the faces of the 4 great clan leaders to darken. This was a classic example of a demonstration of strength against them. After not seeing him for 1,000 years, the divine priest of light's power has become even stronger. The era of us old fellows has passed. Whether we can win against the people of the heaven domain in the future will depend on the younger generation. Shi Ming and Bei Mo clan leaders said one after another. The Nangong clan leader's face was gloomy. If it wasn't for the fact that my Nangong clan's devouring starry sky divine ability was taken away by that unfilial girl, why would this old man be under someone else? He scolded in his heart. At this moment, in the sky, following the divine priest of light's summon, a black light formed in the sky. The black light split into 6 like 6 huge black wings, and the entire sky darkened. God King's phantom. Even those sovereigns, who were also experts on the heavenly god list, couldn't help but feel shocked when they saw the 6-winged phantom. Under the God King's phantom, everyone in the sequencer city felt an unprecedented tyrannical pressure. As the pressure descended, people knelt down one after another. Damn the 6-winged God King! Venerable Wuya gritted his teeth in front of Lin Yu, and his whole body slowly bent down. The 6-winged God King didn't come in person, but just a phantom, and it already wanted them to kneel down. However, even though Exalted Boundless had the heart to resist, before that illusory figure, his feet still suffered a huge pressure, and with a bang, he knelt on the ground. Not only Venerable Wuya, everyone in the Realm C, including the strongest 2, Xian Ming and Di Luo, as well as Lin Yuan, Lin Xiu, and Qin Yi, were all forced to kneel under that phantom. The patriarchs of the 4 great clans, as well as the other people of the primitive continent, also knelt down. At this moment, beside the 4 great clans, Lin Yu noticed a few small forces. According to the symbols on the battle flags, they came from the Ghost Realm, Demon Realm, Western Shumi Sect, Demon Sect, and Dong Sheng Taoism of the primitive continent. These people should be the other forces of the primitive continent. These 5 forces combined could barely match the lineup of the 4 great clans. And these people also knelt down. Without exception, everyone in front of Lin Yu knelt down under the 6-winged phantom. Even at the highest point, the divine priest of light who summoned the phantom also knelt down in the air. In the heavens and the earth, only the 6-winged God King reigned supreme. And at this moment, only one person didn't kneel down. He was Lin Yu. On Lin Yu's body, Hei Yu's voice burst out in a shrill voice. It's him, it's him. Hold on for me, Lin Yu said coldly. The pressure on his body was originally the same as the others, but because of Hei Yu, it was completely offset. Is the phantom of the 6-winged God King so powerful? Lin Yu displayed an incomparably tyrannical desire. It was a desire to become stronger. This phantom that could make all the echelon present, even the heavenly god list experts kneel down, was what he really wanted. Lin Yu's position was too far back, and when everyone knelt on the ground, it was difficult for them to raise their heads to look at the others. So at this moment, no one noticed that Lin Yu was standing. Soon, from the 6-winged phantom, came a voice that was as majestic as the heavenly Tao. The leader of the 10-direction world is the first echelon, the rest are ranked according to the territory. Only this one sentence. As the voice fell, the six-winged phantom changed again. In front of the phantom, in the sky above the sequencer city, a giant stone gate appeared. Chapter 794. The stone gate appeared in the air, towering above the clouds as if it was a door to the heavens. However, on the stone door, there were 3 large words written in the style of dragons and snake. 10 Square World. The sequence battle will start in 10 Square World? Strange, I thought the battle would start in the sequence Emperor City. Looks like the Divine King has a different plan this time. The experts on the Heavenly God ranking were surprised. The entrance to 10 Square World had stabilized. It was just that it hadn't opened yet. The 6-winged Divine King's aura disappeared. Everyone stood up as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. Lin Yu stretched his back to avoid suspicion that he didn't kneel at all. As for the others, their faces were solemn. Clearly, the 6-winged Divine King's aura had stirred up their desire to become experts, just like Lin Yu. Only by seeing a true powerhouse would these people have a greater motivation to become stronger. 10 Square World will open tomorrow, and the sequence battle will begin then. The Divine Priest of Light announced again. The others nodded. Divine Priest, what should we do in 10 Square World? The one who spoke was someone from the monster world. I am Baijio. The Divine King has said that we will be assigned according to the rankings of our territories. The Divine Priest of Light's cold voice sounded. Clearly, he thought these people from the monster world were ignorant. They didn't understand a single word. Baiju frowned. What's the meaning of territories? Are we going to fight for territories in 10 Square World, just like how mortals call themselves kings? That's right. The Divine Priest of Light nodded. The other sequence cultivators below couldn't help but breathe faster. Fighting for territories and seizing other treasures to earn points was even crueler. If one only fought for Fortune Realm treasures, they could hide and wait for the end of the competition. They were much stronger in terms of self-defense. However, territories were different. If one person's territory was too big, or if the person with it was too weak, then they would face an inescapable war. After all, territories couldn't be stored in a storage ring like treasures. After learning the rules of the sequence battle in 10 Square World, the sequence cultivators and the older generation couldn't help but feel nervous for their own people. If they went in, it might be a dead end. Master, can I reconsider? Yes, Venerable One. I don't want to die. Patriarch, can I just hide after going in? Many sequence beyonders with weak wills were already showing signs of cowardice. These people's cultivation levels might not be weak, but if their Tao hearts weren't firm enough, coupled with the murderous aura of the other echelon opponents, thinking in the direction of stability, it was better to just live. At least for now, they were already the top geniuses of their respective factions. There was no need for them to kill each other like this. Trash, how can we cultivators be so cowardly? Are you really satisfied with your current state? Let me tell you, everything you have now was given to you by this old man. This old man can abolish your sequence position at any time. We cannot retreat from this battle. If we retreat, we will become a laughingstock to the other forces. Our Western Sumeru religion cannot afford to lose this face. That's right. We might not be a match for the people from the 4 great clans, Heaven Region, and Realm Sea, but our Dong Xing Dao sect can still fight against those from the Ghost Domain and Demon Domain. They didn't cower, so how can we cower? Many people had already begun to comfort their own sequences. In the direction of Lin Yu. Venerable Wuya originally wanted to comfort Lin Yu and Lin Yuan with a few words. But when he looked back, he saw that Lin Yuan had closed his eyes and was breathing steadily. Damn, did he fall asleep listening to the instant rules? Venerable Wuya's old face twitched, and he looked at Lin Yu again. He saw that the kid's eyes were dull, and he seemed to be frightened. Finally, there was a normal reaction. When Venerable Wuya thought that he should comfort Lin Yu, he took a closer look and saw that Lin Yu seemed to be talking to himself, and the corners of his mouth were inexplicably raised. Crazy? Venerable Wuya thought in his heart. It's over this time. Neither of the two people he brought was normal. He didn't know. Lin Yu was laughing at Heiyu at this moment. I didn't expect you to be able to resist the pressure of the six-winged God King. Interesting. If it weren't for my incomplete physical body, the six-winged God King would be nothing more than this. Don't brag. Recuperate in peace. Lin Yu laughed. He could resist the pressure of the six-winged God King with the help of Heiyu's power. He became the only person present who didn't need to kneel. He was still very surprised. Although he had the system, the six-winged God King was the number one existence on the divine list. In other words, he was the number one in the three realms, the strongest person in the world. And Heiyu could actually resist his pressure. Even if the God King didn't come in person, Lin Yu believed that it was definitely not a simple matter to resist the pressure. The number of people in the three realms and 5 regions who could resist the pressure of the six-winged God King might not even reach 5 fingers. Unfortunately, Heiyu was also injured because of this. In this regard, Lin Yu was even more curious about Heiyu's origin. He once saw the six-winged God King's totem in the Despair Abyss. At that time, the feathers on the edge of the God King were the same as Heiyu's, but there were some differences. Venerable. Lin Yu suddenly looked at Venerable Wuya. I didn't scold you. Venerable Wuya was stunned for a moment before regaining his senses. Why did you call me? Lin Yu didn't know what this old man was thinking. Previously, Venerable Wuya had always been a supreme figure in the boundless sea. Cold and deep. But after coming to the Sequencer City, in front of so many people on the divine list, Lin Yu only felt that this guy's feeling had changed. He was exactly like a younger brother. Are the feathers particular? Lin Yu casually asked. When he saw the people from the heaven region come down, he had already noticed their feathers. It was different. The light god priest and darkness god priest had purple wings. The wind god and thunder god had blue wings. As for the others, they only had gray and white wings. Of course there are. The color of the feathers determines the potential of the people from the heaven region. Venerable Wuya stood with his hands behind his back. He knew that there were things that Lin Yu didn't understand, so he immediately assumed the attitude of an expert. White, gray, red, blue, purple. The people of the heaven region usually have these 5 colors. When the people of the heaven region turn 16, they will awaken their wings. The wings represent their potential. White wings are the weakest, while purple wings are the strongest. After Lin Yu heard this, he immediately understood. But he still asked, then what about black wings? Venerable Wuya's expression immediately tensed up. Don't talk nonsense about black wings. Since ancient times, there have only been 2 people with black wings in the heaven region. They have the strongest aptitude. Black wings represent that they will definitely become divine kings and can enjoy all the resources of the heaven region. Venerable Wuya's eyes were filled with envy. Even purple wings like the light god priest and darkness god priest have the highest authority under divine kings. This is the rule of the heaven region. They are extremely strict with the allocation of resources. The younger generation without potential don't even need to live, let alone enjoy resources. But for those blue wings, purple wings, and even the slightly weaker red wings, they will use all the resources to nurture them. Lin Yu saw that he was getting further and further away. He wasn't interested in the other colors. The current 6-winged divine king is a black wing, right? Just now, others couldn't see it, but Lin Yu didn't kneel. He saw the 6-winged divine king's color clearly. Not only was it black, it was also 6 wings. That's right. Other than the 6-winged divine king, there are no other black wings in the heaven region. Venerable Wuya's words made Lin Yu suspicious. Chapter 795. Apart from the six-winged Divine King, there were no black-winged level powerhouses in the Heaven Domain. Then where did his He-Yu come from? Lin Yu also obtained some answers from He-Yu previously. In He-Yu's perception, he seemed to have another main body, and this main body existed in this world. As for the specific location, the current He-Yu still did not know. But Lin Yu was certain that He-Yu and the Heaven Domain were definitely related. After the Light Divine Priest of the Heaven Domain finished announcing the results, he also observed the changes in this 10-square world. There is still one day before the 10-square world opens. Tomorrow, all the sequences will enter the 10-square world. A commanding tone came over. After announcing this, the Light Divine Priest already went to his residence accompanied by the 4 great family patriarchs. Accompanying them were naturally the Darkness Divine Priest, Wind God, and Thunder God. It was just that the Darkness Divine Priest was different from the Light Divine Priest. His attention had always been on the core area of the Sequencer Emperor City, the place where those sequences were gathered. The aura just now, was it that kid? The Darkness Divine Priest narrowed his eyes slightly. No one noticed his gaze. Different from the Light Divine Priest's swift and decisive actions, the Darkness Divine Priest's entire person was like a dense fog, making people unable to fathom him. And also because he did not like to talk, he always gave people a feeling of being 1,000 miles away. So the 4 great family patriarchs could only respectfully accompany him. No one dared to go up and talk to him. As for the 7 great venerables of the Realm Sea, they also headed to the Sequencer Emperor City's guest hall together. Venerable Wuya and the rest were in front. That was the place where the Divine List powerhouses spoke. As for them, these sequences, they could only follow behind. Lin Yu was still pondering about He-Yu's origin. It was a pity that even Venerable Wuya was not clear about more information. The information he brought to Lin Yu was that there was only one black-winged level powerhouse in the Heaven Domain. That was the 6-winged Divine King. Lin Yu did not need to ask about He-Yu's origin and knew that Venerable Wuya did not know. After entering the 10-square world, shall we go together? A voice came from Lin Yu's side. That was Lin Xiu, who knew when he came over. He and Lin Yuan walked with Lin Yu, one on the left and one on the right. Lin Xiu glanced at both sides with a guilty look, as though he was afraid of exposing his identity. Are you a thief? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. Looking at this comical operation, he felt that it was funny. The walls have ears. That's enough. Anyone can see you in broad daylight. Lin Yu said helplessly. He was a living person talking to Lin Xiu, and the latter seemed to want to not be discovered. Did he think that everyone else was blind? That's true. Lin Xiu coughed dryly and regained his composure as he swaggered and asked. After entering, let's go together. Sure. Lin Yu nodded and Lin Xiu handed him a scroll. At the same time, he continued to look around. Actually, if you're more natural, you won't be easily discovered. Really? Lin Xiu felt that Lin Yu's words made sense and continued. There's information about the 9 nether ocean inside. The one who came with me is the 9 nether ocean's blue tide, white impermanence. His cultivation is not bad. How about compared to you? Lin Yu asked directly. I can't compare to you. Then I'm not afraid. Lin Xiu suddenly felt that he was insulted by Lin Yu. Do you have information about other seas? Lin Yu asked again. I don't have those. I do. A quiet voice came from behind the 3 of them. It turned out that Qin Yi had followed them. Beside her was a female disciple who also came from the Purple Cloud Sea. If Lin Yu remembered correctly, she should have called herself the female king of hell just now. It was a rather domineering name. And looking at her appearance, she was also very domineering, cold, and unapproachable. Lin Yu was interested in learning more about such a woman, but now was not the right time. Why did you give it to him? The female king of hell looked over and gossiped. Just now, Chini said that she wanted to send something over, so she followed because she was worried that Chini would be bullied by these stinky men. But she did not expect that the thing Chini sent out was actually information about other seas. It took you a long time to sort it out. Why did you give it to him? The female king of hell asked again. Chini pressed her lily-white hand on her lips and shushed her. It's okay, he's worth it. After receiving the information scroll, Lin Yu scanned it with his divine sense, then returned it to Chini. Finished reading? Big brother Lin Yu is still so fast. Lin Yu felt that he was insulted by Chini. Lin Xiu and Lin Yuan at the side did not understand the conversation between the two, but when they saw Lin Yu's expression twitch, Lin Xiu's breathing became lighter. Then you have the information of dozens of forces in there. How did you finish reading it in an instant? The female king of hell asked in surprise. I used my brain. Lin Yu did not even look at her and whispered to Chini. That female disciple from Purple Cloud Sea is so beautiful. Yes, they are simply fairies from heaven. I wonder if the goddesses of the heaven domain are as beautiful as them? I think the women of the heaven domain are just SOSO. These two are from our world sea, which means that the women of our world sea are the most beautiful in the 3 realms and 5 regions. It's a pity. What's a pity? The surrounding sequences discussed a few words and their eyes fell on Lin Yu at the same time. It's a pity that the toad has eaten the swan's meat. How did this brat do it, to have 2 such peerless beauties follow him? Especially that woman in white, her actions are so intimate with him, damn it. Lin Yu did not notice that he had unknowingly attracted a lot of hatred. This was also because Chini was simply too beautiful and could not keep a low profile. Our residence is over there. The female king of hell pulled Chini away. Under Lin Yu's signal, the latter also obediently separated from the 3 of them and went to Purple Cloud Sea's exclusive area. Mine is here. Lin Xiu also went to the area of 9 secluded sea. Only Lin Yu and Lin Yuan came to the area of the boundless sea at the same time. There was no one inside, and it seemed that there was no arrangement of guards in the Sequencer City. Lin Yu knew that this was because the people in the Sequencer City at this moment were all top powerhouses on the Divine God list. No one would be blind enough to make trouble in the Sequencer City, so there was no need for guards here at all. Venerable Wuya should not be back yet. It was getting late. Lin Yu asked Lin Yuan to find a room to rest in while he also chose a room. However, when he stood at the door of the room, the system's voice suddenly came. An invincible opponent has been detected beside the host. Automatic injury recovery is activated. Lin Yu frowned. This was the first time the system had such a reaction in history. Even in the Sky Desert universe, when he faced Ling Xiao with his realm at that time, the system did not give such a reminder. Lin Yu turned his head and knew that the person who appeared this time was the strongest existence he had ever encountered. There, a black-armored figure with 4 purple wings on his back appeared like a ghost. At this moment, he stood with his hands behind his back and stared at Lin Yu. He was the Dark Priest. Chapter 796. The Dark Priest had appeared personally. He was an expert on the Heavenly God ranking. In Lin Yu's opinion, his combat ability far surpassed that of Venerable Wuya. Lin Yu knew that he couldn't defeat such an existence. But with the system, he might have a chance to escape by using the advantage of regenerating his injuries. Are you looking for me? Lin Yu turned around and met the Dark Priest's gaze. Profound. Reserved. He couldn't see any fluctuations. The Dark Priest's gaze was the most powerful that Lin Yu had seen in the past 100,000 years. The Dark Priest also seemed to show great interest in Lin Yu the moment he saw him. I'm here to look for you, but also not to look for you. The voice of the dark divine priest sounded lazy and domineering at the same time. He gave Lin Yu a feeling. If the dark priest didn't care about something, then he was languid. If he cared, then he would show the domineering side that he had been hiding. This person was immovable like a mountain, but when he moved, the world would collapse. This was the dignity of a top expert. Speak clearly. Lin Yu's calm voice sounded. He had been reset for 100,000 years and had experienced too many deaths. So even if the dark priest gave him an unprecedented sense of threat, but Lin Yu's temperament was still not shaken. And he knew very well that a shaken temperament represented everything. As long as his temperament and Tao heart were indestructible, Lin Yu could solve any problem. Looks like you're not afraid of me. The dark priest didn't get angry. Instead, he seemed to admire Lin Fan. But even so, Lin Yu was still vigilant. After all, this was the first time the system had warned him of danger. I have a clear conscience. Why should I be afraid? Lin Yu spread out his hands and raised the corner of his mouth. The dark priest couldn't help but look at Lin Yu a few more times. Forget it. I'm here for that thing on your body. What? Just as Lin Yu's voice fell, a space-time pressure that he had never felt before suddenly appeared. This feeling made Lin Yu feel as if time around him had slowed down by thousands of times. Time had no feelings. However, it was his telepathic thoughts and his constitution that became sluggish. In other words, the speed at which Lin Yu spoke was now thousands of times slower. Even when he wanted to raise his hand, his movements were terrifyingly slow. He was infinitely close to being unable to move. With his vision, he could clearly see that the dark high priest was approaching him at a terrifying speed. Lin Yu knew that it wasn't because the other party's movement technique was too fast, but because his vision was also affected. Time. His time. It had been slowed down. Under such circumstances, even if he summoned the system, it would be too late. The dark divine official was one of the top rankers on the divine ranking list. This was the first time Lin Yu felt such terrifying power. Old friend, I know you're here. The voice of the dark priest sounded. Lin Yu couldn't hear this sentence at first. However, the next moment, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Detected the host's desire for power. System upgrade begins. System upgrade completed. Third skill unlocked, time speed eternal host. Lin Yu's system skills. Space-time reset, space-time overlay, time speed in an instant, the space-time pressure around Lin Yu disappeared. However, he didn't move. Because he wanted to know why the dark priest had come. Soon. Yu, who was in Lin Yu's body, moved. This was one of the rare times that Yu appeared on his own. Under normal circumstances, Yu would only appear to help when Lin Yu summoned him. However, now, a pair of black wings appeared on Lin Yu's back. It's really you, old friend. Your injuries. The dark priest was halfway through his sentence when he smiled again. It seems that you haven't recovered yet. It's been 1,000,000 years since you left Tianyu, right? Yu didn't answer, but Lin Yu could sense that Yu was a little confused at this moment. He didn't understand the dark priest's words, but it wasn't that he didn't understand it at all. The dark priest seemed to be gradually unlocking his memories. Who are you? Yu's voice was old and full of surprise. It seems that you haven't recovered your memories. The dark priest smiled. When he was talking to Yu, he didn't hide his arrogance like before. Instead, he was more emotional. Lin Yu was even more curious about Yu's background to be able to make such an expert show his emotions. Fine, you can recuperate in this kid's body. When you return to your peak, we'll have a drink together. The dark priest let out a long sigh. The position of divine king doesn't belong to six-winged. I still want your master to come back. Old friend, the young divine king disappeared with you in Tianyu. Do you know where he is? Time seemed to have stopped. Lin Yu didn't move. After the dark priest finished speaking, Yu also fell into deep silence. After a long time, Yu replied, I know, After he finished speaking, he didn't say anything else. It seemed that even Yu was a little surprised that he would say such a thing. Where is the young divine king? A light flashed in the dark priest's eyes. He didn't care about other things, but when it came to the young divine king, it seemed to attract his attention greatly. There was another moment of dead silence. Lin Yu continued to pretend that he was restrained. He also wanted to know if the dark priest could make Yu tell him more about the secrets of Tianyu and Yu himself. Lin Yu vaguely felt that it had something to do with him. It was a pity. Yu didn't say anything else. It seems that you still don't believe me. The dark priest shook his head. Do you know that I've already done my best 1,000,000 years ago? The young divine king has been free for too long and doesn't care about the power of Tianyu. He doesn't know that Six-Winged has been jealous of him for a long time. Tianyu already has a black-winged divine son. At that time, how could he allow another divine son to appear? Even if the other black-winged divine son is his younger brother, even if the old divine king had already decided to pass the position of divine king to the young divine king. The dark priest fell into silence. Forget it. One day, when the young divine king returns, he will understand me. Old friend, live well. After the dark priest finished speaking, Lin Yu suddenly felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. It was a feeling that he had never felt before. It seemed that the pain didn't belong to him, but to Yu. However, when he observed Yu in his body, Lin Yu felt a little lost. The dark priest walked to the door. Just when Lin Yu thought that he was going to leave, the dark priest removed the time burden. However, when his divine thought landed on Lin Yu, he showed a surprised expression for the first time. You've already dispelled my 9 powers technique? Chapter 797. So that's how it is, I understand. Dark Divine Official muttered to himself and walked out of the door. When you return from 10 Square World, I will come find you again. When his voice came, he was already at a place where Lin Yu couldn't see. Dark Divine Official stopped, turned around, and suddenly knelt down in Lin Yu's direction. He didn't say anything, only lowering his head. Only when someone passed by did he disappear, and when he reappeared, he was already in his own palace. No one knew that Dark Divine Official came, except for Lin Yu. Crazy. Lin Yu only felt that this guy was strange, but didn't want to bother with him. That Yu fell silent. No matter how Lin Yu called, Yu didn't respond. And at this time, Venerable Wuya also returned. A bunch of nonsense. Venerable Boundless coldly snorted. It seemed that even with his power, he was unable to detect that the Dark Divine Official had come. Those old bastards from the 4 great clans are looking down on our world seas people more and more. Lin Yu didn't say anything, only thinking about how big the gap between Venerable Wuya and Dark Divine Official was. What's wrong with you? Feeling that Lin Yu was a bit too quiet, Venerable Wuya looked over curiously. Didn't you sense that something is wrong here? Lin Yu casually asked. If it was an opponent with similar fighting strength, Venerable Wuya should have sensed that the Dark Divine Official made a move. But he only shook his head. Nothing is wrong? Even thinking that something big happened to Lin Yu, Venerable Wuya deliberately used his divine sense to scan the palace, but in the end, he still couldn't sense anything. It's fine. Lin Yu faintly smiled. Right, why is Venerable angry? Venerable Wuya disagreed and coldly snorted. Those old farts of the 4 great clans actually said that the order of 10 Square Worlds entry is to let Realm C people enter first. Aren't they looking down on our Realm C? When the sequences of the Heaven Domain and the Primitive Continent enter the 10 Square World, they will occupy the right time and place first. At that time, what can we, the Realm C sequence, do? Lin Yu didn't care about this. After all, the Battle of 10 Direction World wasn't something that could be completed in a short period of time. How long has the 10 Square World been open? 1 month. Venerable Boundless smiled proudly. Fortunately, this seat and the other venerables share the same hatred for the enemy. We've agreed that all of you will enter together tomorrow. By the way, where is Lin Yuan? It's time to rest. Lin Yu replied, remembering the appearance of the dark priest just now. It seemed that even Lin Yuan was not aware of it. Otherwise, with Lin Yuan's personality, he would definitely rush out to stop the other party from approaching him. Thinking of this, Lin Yu became even more curious. Venerable One, what is the rank of the Dark High Priest on the Heavenly God list? Why are you suddenly asking this? I'm curious. Venerable Wuya's old face twitched. Actually, my ranking is about the same as his. Lin Yu remembered that Venerable Wuya was ranked 30th. If that was the case, wouldn't the Dark Priest be in the 20s? It was a bit unreasonable. What's the specific rank? Lin Yu still wanted to ask clearly. 7th. F***ck. Lin Yu cursed in his heart. 7th on the Heavenly God list, this is about the same as your ranking? Fortunately, Lin Yu asked more, otherwise, he would have been fooled by Venerable Wuya. Venerable Wuya coughed dryly. In fact, the gap between us on the Heavenly God list is not big. Maybe this old man can also enter the top 10 in the future. Understood. Lin Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him and entered his room. 7th on the Heavenly God list, the Dark Priest. The first known was the six-winged God King, the second was the boundless Vairocana Buddha of the primitive continent, and the third was the existence that had disappeared for a long time. However, Lin Yu was curious as to why the third position was still empty. The 4th and 5th on the Heavenly God list, as Fan Tong had mentioned before, were the Heavenly Demon King of the demonic sect of the 3 realms and 5 domains, and the Haotian Emperor of the Dongxing Taoist sect. The Lord of the Realm Sea, the leader of the other venerables, ranked 6. As for the 7th, it was actually the Dark Priest. Did this mean that the Dark Priest's strength was already very close to the Lord of the Realm Sea? And the 8th was the first sea domain Venerable Xianming. These were all the strongest existences on the Heavenly God list. Lin Yu roughly understood the situation. At night, Qin Yi seemed to have sent away the female King of Hell, and came to Lin Yu's residence alone. Under Lin Yu's signal, even though Venerable Wuya knew that Qin Yi had come, he did not appear. Young people are good. Venerable Wuya let out a long sigh. He did not expect that after only meeting for a day, Lin Yu this brat would have such a beautiful encounter. F***ck. The more Venerable Wuya thought about it, the angrier he got. On the other side of the room, after 6 hours of extravagant sounds, Qin Yi laid lazily on Lin Yu's body. There were some beads of sweat on her face. Under the bright moonlight, they were like drops of sparkling gemstones, extremely beautiful. Lin Yu slid in and said at the same time, "Tomorrow, the 10-square world will open. You and I will go in together." Qin Yi was speechless for a long time. After a long time, she slowly opened her eyes and nodded gently, "I'll listen to you. But this time, the opponents we will face are much stronger than Ling Xiao. We might be able to deal with the people from the Middle Sea region, but the Upper Sea region has Lei Dong, Shimen Wuxue Jiu Feng, and the Demon God, Demonic God, and Fiend God from the Emperor Fallen Sea region. Adding in the experts from the Heaven region and the Primitive Continent, I'm afraid there will be a fierce battle in the 10-square world." After Qin Yi finished, Lin Yu just smiled. "Are you afraid?" "No, with you here, Yi has never been afraid." Lin Yu laughed evilly, "That's good. In the 10-square world, fierce battles are inevitable. But if anyone dares to block my path, I will kill them all. Hurry up." How could Qin Yi listen to Lin Yu's words right now? The next day, by the time Lin Yu woke up, Qin Yi had already left under the cover of dawn. After all, she represented the Zixia Sea. If she were to be caught in Lin Yu's room just like that, it wouldn't be good for Reverend Zixia's reputation. Regarding this, Lin Yu expressed his understanding. Above the Sequencer City, the gates to the 10-square world opened slowly. Below, there were quite a number of sequences who had already gathered. I think you ran out last night. I waited for you for a long time, but you did not return. The female king of hell asked softly. Qin heart clenched up. Her face was expressionless as she probed. Senior sister, did you wait for me the entire night? Not really. I fell asleep in the latter half of the night. The female king of hell replied. Qin heaved a sigh of relief. I came back in the latter half of the night. It's just that I met with a bottleneck in my cultivation, so I wanted to go out for a breather. I see. Junior sister, you're already in the four-symbol state. You don't have to be in a rush to cultivate. You must know that the difference between 10,000 spirit state and four-symbol state is like heaven and earth. If you're in a rush, you might go berserk. Chapter 798. The female king of hell was teaching Qin seriously. She was also a four symbols realm expert and was one level higher than Qin. Thank you, senior sister, I will pay attention. Qin thanked her sincerely. She had not known the female king of hell for long. After all, Qin came from the Purple Cloud Sea's Jade Fairy sect, while Queen of Hell was the lord of another power, the Azura Palace. However, after the two of them became the echelon, it meant that they were both disciples of Reverend Zixia. Naturally, they would address each other as senior and junior sisters. In another direction, Lin Xiu was still looking at Lin Yu from time to time. His eyes were reminding Lin Yu that he was now from the Middle Sea region and was slightly stronger than Lin Yu. In the sky, the divine priest of light looked down and stood outside the Ten-Direction world. Behind him, the Ten-Direction world had already opened and a teleportation force seemed to be able to suck everyone in. After entering the Ten-Direction world, you will be assigned to a random area. 1 month later, the Ten-Direction world will open again and the one who obtains the most territories will become the first on the sequence board. What are the benefits of being the first on the sequence board? Below, a scholarly-looking person cupped his fists and asked, Little brother, Monster Worlds by Jiu asked this question. Not bad, it's me again. He chuckled. He was also the one who asked the question yesterday. The first on the sequence board, other than the top 3 on the Heavenly God ranking, can choose another Heavenly God ranking expert to be his master. It meant that other than the 6-winged Divine King, the Great Solar Buddha, and the missing third on the Heavenly God ranking, the first on the sequence board could choose any other Heavenly God ranking expert to be his master. I see, that's great. I heard that the Demon Empress Ning Kikyo, who is ranked 11th on the Heavenly God ranking, is extremely beautiful. She is one of the top beauties in the 3 realms and 5 regions. If I could find such a beautiful master, I would be willing to eat **T. You're not ambitious. You're already the first on the sequence board and you're still afraid of not having a woman. If you want to choose, of course you'll choose the strongest 4th Heavenly God, the Demon Sect's Great Demon King. What a joke! The most important thing is to get the Heavenly God's true inheritance. The greatest benefit after becoming the sequence board is the chance to be ranked on the Heavenly God ranking. That is the glory of us cultivators. That makes sense, but I still want to find a beautiful master. While everyone was discussing, they officially entered the 10-square world under the orders of the Divine Priest of Light. Brother Lei Dong, shall we work together? Of course you can. The people of Realm C share a common enemy, this is how it should be. Demon God Laughing Ghost from the Emperor Fallen Sea region and Thunder from the mysterious Underworld Sea region said. In a few words, the Xianming Sea region's echelons had already gathered with the Emperor Fallen Sea region. Was this an alliance? When the others saw this, they immediately understood. The 10-square world wasn't a battle for territory. It was a battle of strategy. It didn't rely on one's own strength. 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. No matter how strong a person was, if he encountered an alliance of several sequences in the 10-square world, he would be defeated. Not to mention winning a one-on-one battle, even a tag team battle could exhaust him to death. Therefore, forming an alliance was a smart move. Seeing this, the eyes of the vast expanse and the 9 hells in the middle sea rolled. I am killer of 3 lives from the vast expanse seas Tao-seeking sect. This is Sure Rulai from my 10,000 Buddha Hall. I wonder if the people of the 9 Serenities Sea region are also willing to form an alliance? I am Bai Wuchang. I am naturally willing to form an alliance. What about you, Lin Xiu? I have someone. You can go. Lin Xiu didn't even need time to think and directly gave an answer. While Bai Wuchang was stunned, Lin Xiu had already walked to Lin Yu's side. Lowly Sea region or the trashiest boundless sea? Bai Wuchang's old face twitched. Lin Xiu, you're silly. It's none of your business. Alright, you can explain it to 9 Serenities sage yourself. Bai Wuchang snorted coldly, and killer of 3 lives who came to recruit the alliance was naturally a little unhappy. Is there anyone else from Realm Sea who wants to join us? Hearing this, the people of Purple Cloud Sea and Chaos Demon Sea naturally understood that if they didn't choose a side at this time, they would be in trouble after entering the 10 Square World. As for the others, the people of Primitive Continent and Heaven region had already formed an alliance, and they disdained to form an alliance with the people of Realm Sea. As for the people of the 5 regions of the 3 realms and 5 regions, Ghost Region, Demon Realm, Western Sumeru Sect, Demon Sect, Dongxing Taoism, they also tacitly formed 2 alliances. It seemed that before entering the 10 Square World, everyone already felt that there would definitely be a fierce battle in a while. And Lin Xiu came to Lin Yu's side, which meant that he had already chosen to stand on Lin Yu's side. Killer of 3 lives didn't take the initiative to invite Lin Yu, but his gaze landed in the direction of Purple Cloud Sea. Fairies, are you interested in forming an alliance with me? Killer of 3 lives smiled faintly. At this moment, he had gathered 9 Serenities seized by Wuchang, Chaotic Demon Seas Tyrant Blade Guyi, and Boundless Seas Sure Rulai. Adding his own strength, it was already an extremely powerful team. Facing such a team, only Qin Yi and Queen of Hell from a lowly sea region like Purple Cloud Sea. In Killer of 3 lives' opinion, they didn't have the capital to reject him. I refuse. Who knew that while Killer of 3 lives was feeling smug, he was looking forward to Qin Yi's answer. But Qin Yi rejected him without even thinking about it. What? 3 lives Kill narrowed his eyes, a look of extreme displeasure on his face. He had even fantasized about having Qin Yi and Queen of Hell join him. In a month's time in 10 Square World, he might have enough opportunities to obtain the 2 women's bodies. It might be difficult to win the sequence battle, but the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. In Killer of 3 lives' opinion, getting the beauties first was a great gain. Unfortunately, his wishful thinking didn't work out. Qin Yi, think carefully. This young master never gives others a chance. It's always others who take the initiative to curry favor with this young master. Killer of 3 lives waved his hands, indicating for Qin Yi to look at the team behind him. The people of the upper-class sea region look down on you. If you don't form an alliance with us now, you might not even make it past the first day after entering. I said no. Qin Yi was still determined. Then, she didn't even bother to look at Killer of 3 lives. Killer of 3 lives' face was filled with anger as he looked at Queen of Hell. Then what about you? Queen of Hell narrowed her eyes. She also felt that Qin Yi's decision was a bit rash. Senior sister, if you want to go, then go, Qin Yi said. Queen of Hell gritted her teeth. She remembered Venerable Zixa's words. She and Qin Yi couldn't be separated. Today, after entering 10 Square World, they had to support each other even more. Forget it. I'll go wherever junior sister goes. Queen of Hell's words made Killer of 3 lives' expression even more unsightly. Haha, a mere trash from the Middle Sea region wants to win a beauty's heart? Why don't you take a look at yourself first? A voice sounded. It was Lei Dong from the mysterious Void Sea. This one is Lei Dong. Greetings to the two fairies. Chapter 799. Lei Dong looked refined and polite, but his tone still carried the arrogance of an upper-middle-class person. It was just that he covered it up with a smile. Lei Dong was talking to Qin Yi and the female Yama. Kill of 3 lives narrowed his eyes. As a man, how could he not know what Lei Dong was trying to do? He was trying to steal his woman. What? Why aren't you scramming? Lei Dong's voice suddenly sounded. It was incomparably domineering. The target of his warning was none other than Kill of 3 lives and his group. Kill of 3 lives gritted his teeth, but he had no choice but to take a few steps back. Lei Dong snatched away the beauty in his hands, and he couldn't do anything about it. Kill of 3 lives clenched his fists tightly. His fingertips had already pierced his palms, and traces of dark red seeped out. Compared to the humiliation Lei Dong brought him, Kill of 3 lives didn't feel the pain in his palms at all. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west, 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Don't bully the poor young. 3 lives Kill silently prayed in his heart. He only hoped that one day he would be able to make a comeback. He only hoped that when that time came, these two would not be ruined by Lei Dong. Fairies, are you willing to form an alliance with me? Lei Dong spoke again and extended his hand. He even felt that he didn't need to say anything. Any woman only needed to see his status and the people behind him to know what to choose. Qin Yi and the female Yama, in Lei Dong's eyes, were even more intelligent women. Junior sister. The female Yama's eyes curved. So Qin Yi had just rejected Kill of 3 lives in his group because she knew Lei Dong would also invite her? At this moment, the female Yama only felt that Qin Yi was very smart. Junior sister was too amazing. Since Mr. Lei invited us, the female Yama was about to agree, but Qin Yi's words interrupted her. No. When her words fell, even with Lei Dong's status, their expressions froze. Kill of 3 lives, who had taken a few steps back, thought he had heard wrong. But the female Yama was even more shocked. Junior sister, why? The female Yama didn't understand. Didn't Qin Yi reject Kill of 3 lives to wait for Lei Dong to come? Fairy Qin, have you thought it through? The strongest cultivators of Realm C are on my side. Lei Dong's face had lost some patience. However, Qin Yi was simply too beautiful, making him feel that she was worth spending a little more time and patience to win over. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Unexpectedly, Qin Yi's tone was even colder than before. No. Impudent. Do you know that Big Brother Lei is the Sky Sea region lord of the Xianming Sea? Behind him, a charming woman's voice sounded. This woman was dressed in an enchanting manner. The chiffon covering her upper body had already fallen to her shoulders, giving off a seductive vibe. Since she was standing beside Lei Dong, her position seemed to be extremely high as well. Princess Jiufeng of the mysterious underworld shaman race. Her strength is probably not much weaker than Lei Dong and Shimen Wuxue, right? Of course. I heard that she has already stepped into the 10,000 soul realm and is truly one of the strongest echelons. But why do I feel that this vixen's ability to seduce people is more powerful than her cultivation? The surrounding people discussed animatedly. Meanwhile, the people from the Tianyu, primitive continent, and 5 regions had already entered the 10-square world. I've made myself very clear. Qin Yi waved her hand. She was too lazy to look at Lei Dong and the others. However, she could not directly walk to Lin Yu's side because Qin Yi knew that it would bring disaster to Lin Yu. If Lei Dong and the others made things difficult for Lin Yu, Qin Yi did not want to see that. Time's up. Behind Lei Dong, another man's voice sounded. The man's tone was cold, as if he was an emotionless killing machine. His hands were crossed in front of him, wrapping around a long sword. His hair was disheveled and his head was lowered the entire time. No one could see his face clearly. However, after this person spoke, his words seemed to have more weight than Jiufeng's. Lei Dong wanted to continue making things difficult for Qinyi, but after this person spoke, he hesitated. Fine, let's go in first. There will be plenty of time in the future. Lei Dong sneered and looked at Qinyi sharply. He could not help but lick his lip. The more temperamental a woman is, the more I like her. Interesting, too interesting. As Lei Dong and the others entered 10 Square World, 3 Lives Kill and the others wanted to go forward, but Qinyi had already walked to the other side. That was where Lin Yu was. People from the Boundless Sea? So they already made their choice. That kid again? 3 Lives Kill and Domineering Blade Guyi said one after another. You know him? 3 Lives Kill asked. Domineering Blade Guyi nodded and snorted. That kid killed another sequence of my chaotic demon C, Qiongqi. The first person I dealt with after entering was him. Fine, let's go in first. 3 Lives Kill smiled. He had to pick the soft persimmon to pinch. He could not win against the upper sea regions like Xianming and Di Luo. However, it was easy for him to deal with people from the lower sea regions like Boundless Sea. As 3 Lives Kill and the others entered 10 Square World. Outside, only Lin Yu and the others were left, as well as Qinyi, who was walking towards them. Yama, who was following closely behind, was even more confused. The Upper Sea Alliance did not want him. The Middle Sea Alliance did not want him either. Could it be that Junior Sister wanted to form an alliance with this lower sea region? Sorry for the delay, young Master Lin. Qinyi bowed and said to Lin Yu while sticking out her tongue. It's fine, but… Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. Next time I see those people who talk nonsense to you, I'll cut off their tongues. His tone was incomparably calm. Yama thought that Lin Yu had just said something normal. But she carefully thought about the meaning behind those words. Kill. Domineering. Was this kid crazy? Didn't he know that he was born in the lower sea region and had less resources than 3 Lives Kill and Lei Dong? He actually wanted to cut off their tongues? I'll listen to you. Who knew that Qin-Yi would actually cooperate? Junior Sister, could it be that you want to form an alliance with him? The Queen of Hell asked in surprise. Qin-Yi nodded without hesitation. Senior Sister, young Master Lin is the best candidate for the alliance. Are you sure? Yes. Looking at Qin-Yi's unwavering eyes, it was the first time Yama saw her like this. This was an answer with incomparable trust. But how could she have such a firm sense of trust in someone she had just met for a day? If you have doubts, you can leave on your own. Lin Xiu's voice sounded a little impatient. He was the only person from the Middle Sea region present. After Lin Xiu spoke, Queen Yama frowned. Even the immortal slaying sex sequence had sided with this person. Could it be that this person was really extraordinary? Who said that I have doubts, I agree to the alliance. Yama had no way out now. Qin-Yi's rejection just now had offended the alliance between the Upper and Middle Sea region. They could only leave with Lin Yu now. That's fine. Lin Xiu snorted and looked at Yama again. Yama also looked at him again. Other than being handsome, he seemed to have nothing good about him. Chapter 800. Although he looked exactly the same as Lin Yu, but compared to Lin Yu's handsome face, Lin Xiu's white hair and vertical pupils made Yama feel that this person had a bit more evil charm. At this moment, Lin Yu, Lin Xiu, Lin Yuan, Qin-Yi, and Yama gathered for the first time in the 3 realms and 5 regions. This kid is dawdling, so he's picking up girls? Below, Venerable Wuya, who had waited for a long time before seeing Lin Yu enter the 10 Square World, cursed secretly, and there was a little jealousy in his tone. Don't be jealous, old crow, it seems that you can't compare to your disciple? Chaos Demon Venerable laughed. My name is Wuya. Venerable Zixia also looked over. Old crow, what did your disciple do to actually make my 2 disciples follow him? Obviously. Venerable Zixia chose Lin Yu as the ally of Qin-Yi and Yama. She had an opinion. She didn't want thunder movement, at least choose the inferior 3 lives kill. But who knew that her 2 disciples actually left with a group of people from the lower sea area? Venerable Zixia, you and I are both from the lower sea area. Are you looking down on my disciples? Old Crow, don't forget how you pestered me before. I'm afraid your disciple is using the same trick now, right? As soon as Venerable Zixia's voice fell, the other venerables also looked over one after another, observing the two with a strange expression. And in the 10-square world, at this moment, the figures of Lin Yu and the others appeared one after another. It was also the first time they saw the complete appearance of the 10-square world. This was, the reason why it was called the 10-square world was because it was divided into 2 continents. And these 2 continents, one was up and one was down, and they were facing each other. In other words, the 10-square world had no sky, and what the existences on the 2 continents saw was the other continent. Above is the 5 directions: wind, thunder, light, dark, and illusion, the 5 directions. Below is the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements. Qin Yi on the side also explained. Obviously, she had investigated this information before. The others also listened to her. Now they were in the middle of 2 worlds. The problem was, which world should he go to? 10 great worlds and a total of 1,080 small continents. These continents should be the territory that the 6-winged divine king mentioned. Qin Yi continued, the size of the territories are about the same, so I guess that the winner is decided by the number of territories occupied. Junior sister, where do you think we should go first? Of course, she didn't ask for Lin Yu's opinion right away. In her opinion, she should still be the one in charge, even if they had already formed an alliance. Sir Lin, what do you think? However, Qin Yi didn't answer the female Yama. Instead, she asked for Lin Yu's opinion. Let's take a look first. Lin Yu replied casually. The female king of hell thought that this person didn't have any opinions of his own, so she decided to listen to him. What she didn't know was that Lin Yu was actually observing. In front of them, there were already many figures attacking upwards. The competition in the 5-direction world was obviously stronger, and the 5 elements world below only had people from the realm sea. There were also people from the 5 regions below. It seemed that they were planning to avoid the battle between the heaven domain and the primitive continent in the 5-direction world. Let's avoid them, Lin Yu said as he began to fly down. Qin Yi immediately understood and followed along. Lin Xiu, Lin Yuan, and Yama also followed. With their current combat strength, they should indeed avoid them. After all, only the people from the primitive continent could fight against the heaven domain head-on. Although they had many sequences in the realm sea, they didn't have as many top combatants as the other 2 forces. What was the use of having more people? But the 5 of them didn't fly for too long before they suffered a wave of attacks. They were balls of black Yao Qi, and they were sweeping toward everyone at high speed. Lin Yuan took a step forward, and his 4 symbols realm cultivation combined with his monster aura, forming the roar of a beast king. Those black balls bombarded the beast king phantoms, constantly producing deafening sounds. The 5 of them also took the opportunity to land on the ground and came to the 5-direction world. You have some ability to actually be able to block my Tao-seeking bead. A contemptuous voice sounded. It was the killer of 3 lives of the Tao-seeking sect. Along with him were Shur Rulai from the Pantheon Temple, White Impermanence from the 9 Nether Sea, and Domineering Blade Guyi from the Chaos Demon Sea. These 4 people were obviously waiting here for Lin Yu and the others to appear. I'm right, this group of people is indeed the same as us, choosing to occupy the 5 elements world first. Hee, since we've met, let's kill them first, so that we don't know where they will run to in the future. It'll be troublesome to find them. Lin Yu, you killed my brother Qiongqi, today is the day you die. The person who spoke was Domineering Blade Guyi. But Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. That black bead was hit by you? His gaze fell on the leader of the other party, the killer of 3 lives of the Tao-seeking sect. It was me, so what? Killer of 3 lives aura erupted and actually reached the peak of the 4 symbols realm in an instant. He was only half a step away from stepping into the myriad spirit realm at any time. You seem to be very unhappy with me? Killer of 3 lives' eyes narrowed, and he already had the intention to kill Lin Yu. He saw Qin Yi and King of Hell beside Lin Yu. Before Lei Dong and the others arrived, Killer of 3 lives planned to take down these 2 women first. Lin Yu, on the other hand, was his first target. Master, do you want to fight? Lin Yuan asked from the side. His face was already a little excited. But Lin Yu felt a few auras approaching him. It was the aura of Lei Dong and the others. This group of people seemed to want to kill a few enemies as soon as possible and reduce the time to find the enemy when they split up. If you want to avenge Qiongqi, then come, Lin Yu said coldly. With a step, he appeared in front of Guyi. You. I have Killer of 3 lives now, how can I let you be presumptuous? He remembered how Qiongqi died in the hands of Lin Yu. Therefore, Guyi was still a little afraid of Lin Yu. It's just that this is 10 Square World, a place where one can kill indiscriminately. At that time, Qiongqi died because Demon Venerable Chaos couldn't make a move. Otherwise, Guyi didn't believe that Lin Yu could kill Qiongqi in the hands of Demon Venerable Chaos. Guyi, don't worry and fight with him. If he dares to touch you, I will kill him immediately. Killer of 3 lives' voice came with an unscrupulous threat. Even his meaning was very clear. If Lin Yu dares to resist, then they will attack together. On the surface, Killer of 3 lives' cultivation is higher than Lin Yu and the others by a few times, including Sister Xiaojing. If they fight head-on, he is confident that Lin Yu is not his opponent. Okay, brother Killer of 3 lives, I am relieved to hear your words. After all, Guyi came from the lower sea area. Now that he is protected by people from the middle sea area, his courage has increased a lot. While talking, he thought that he could take advantage of Lin Yu's distraction and suddenly attack. Chapter 801. The long blade in his hand swept out and directly slashed at Lin Yu's position. Be careful! The female Yama shouted, thinking that Lin Yu couldn't even take the first move. Although she was unwilling to submit to Lin Yu's alliance, she didn't want to see her teammates defeated so quickly. On the contrary, the female Yama saw the other 3. Qin Yi, Lin Yuan, and Lin Xiu were unusually calm. Aren't you worried about him? The female Yama asked. Why should we be worried? Qin Yi was puzzled. The female Yama sighed softly. Junior sister, did you forget that Lin Yu just said that he is only at the equilibrium state? I think that among so many sequences, his realm is the lowest. That domineering blade Guyi is at the 4-symbol state. Lin Yu won't be able to last more than a few rounds. The 4-symbol state is fine, as long as it's not the myriad spirit state. Young Master Lin has nothing to fear. Qin Yi laughed, showing great confidence in Lin Yu's strength. The female Yama was even more surprised. Why did she trust this man that she had only known for 2 days? And on the battlefield, an incomparably mournful voice came at this moment. The female Yama immediately turned around, thinking that Lin Yu had died. But when she took a closer look, she saw that it was a black sickle that was so huge that it seemed to be able to split the earth. It fell from midair and directly hit domineering blade Guye's battle body. The latter couldn't dodge such a fast blade at all, and that mournful voice came after domineering blade Guyi was slashed to death. Bastard, you dare to kill! Kill of 3 lives, furious voice came. He didn't care about Guye's life or death, but he cared about his face. He just said that if Guyi couldn't defeat Lin Yu, he would stop Lin Yu. But now Guyi was slashed by Lin Yu in front of him. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Even if Kill of 3 lives used his full speed and burst out with the strength of a peak 4-symbol state, he blocked in front of Guyi. However, since Lin Yu made a move, the speed of Death God transit wasn't something they could easily catch up with. Moreover, although Lin Yu was now in a new world and couldn't know everyone's secrets, but the battle experience he accumulated for 100,000 years, sword, blade, chess, and words, these were all things that ordinary young people couldn't compare with. Damn it! Tyrant Blade Guy's body was split in half by 3 lives kill. Although Death God transit Black Sickles' Black Sickle, the Black Death God's Black Sickle, the Black Sickle, the Black Sickles' the Black Sickle, the Black Sickle, the Black Sickle directly split the blades black. Broken. Dead. Everyone's heads kills SUS's. Lin to kill. Lin Yu's calm voice rang out. He didn't even look at 3 lives kill. His 5 fingers formed a claw as he directly grabbed Guy's storage ring. Kill. As always. But Lin Yu's was another slap to kill of 3 lives' face. Leave your storage ring behind. After all, it was a storage ring left behind by a dead sequence bearer. The value of the treasures inside was immeasurable. Therefore, even though domineering Saber Guyi was dead and 3 lives killer had lost face, his first thought was to kill Lin Yu and take their storage rings. But he didn't expect that Lin Yu would make a move first. So you want it too? Fine, here you go. Lin Yu smiled faintly and threw the storage ring. At the same time, he glanced at Qin Yi and the others. With that, the 4 of them disappeared at the same time and moved closer to Lin Yu. Wait for me. The female Yama reacted quickly, but she was still a step too slow. She only caught up at the last moment. The people from the Upper Sea region are here. Let's go. As Lin Yu's voice fell, the 5 of them changed their direction and left at full speed. Kill of 3 lives saw this and felt that something was wrong. He held the storage ring in his hand. If he didn't want to catch it, he would have chased after them. But when Kill of 3 lives checked the storage ring with his divine sense, he found that it was empty. When did he take it? Damn it! Kill of 3 lives was furious, but he couldn't chase after Lin Yu. Instead, he found a place to leave. Not only Lin Yu, but Kill of 3 lives also realized that the people from the Xianming Sea region were approaching. Soon. Lei Dong and the others pounced on empty air. The fluctuations of the battle came from here. Interesting, they ran so fast. Lei Dong's lips curled up with a look of pity. At the same time, he saw domineering Blade Guyi on the ground, who had been cut in half. Although this kid is just a piece of trash, he was actually killed in such a short period of time? The person who injured him is very powerful. Lei Dong and 9 Phoenix said one after another. Leave him to me. After Shimen Wuxue finished speaking, he had already appeared beside Guyi. His eyes were sharp like an eagle, staring at the injuries on Guyi's body. Very good, a decent opponent has finally appeared. His body and sword trembled at the same time. Lei Dong smiled and 9 Phoenix looked at each other and nodded. They knew that Shimen Wuxue was serious. Let's occupy the nearby place first. The people from the Heaven region and the primitive continent have gone up. There are not many decent opponents in the realm of 5 elements. The realm of 5 elements should only have people from the Middle and Lower Sea region and those trash from the 5 regions. They are not worth mentioning. We have occupied this place and stabilized our footing. After Lin Yu and the others left, they began to observe the realm of 5 elements, knowing that the other party did not chase after them. Forest, land, sea. There was no difference between here and the outside world. Unfortunately, Lin Yu and the others didn't see anyone after flying for a long time. Instead, he felt a lot of demonic beasts. The demonic beasts here are not weak. One of them has already reached the 10,000 spirit realm. Lin Yu judged, and the others nodded in agreement. Except for Yama, everyone else was excited. If we meet Kill of 3 lives and his group again, we might be able to fight them, Yama said. After killing Guyi, Kill of 3 lives' group was only kill of 3 lives, sure to Thagata, and white impermanence. And there were 5 of them here. Don't worry about opponents of that level, Lin Yu said casually. He was still concerned about the people from the upper sea region. If he wanted to establish a foothold in the realm of 5 elements, not only did he have to occupy the territory, but he also had to solve the problem of his own safety. Once he met Lei Dong and the others, they would definitely kill him immediately. What a big tone, the female king of hell said in annoyance. Lin Yu, on the other hand, was too lazy to care about her. He just found a deserted city. Chapter 802. Let's start here. Lin Yu landed in the desolate city. It didn't look like it was built by cultivators, but more like a city of mortals. The arena, the streets, and the desert. There was no one here, but some tea sets, tables, and chairs were strewn all over the place. Some were broken, some were charred black. This seems to be a place of mortals, but because of the war, it has become like this. Qin Yi judged. Lin Yu nodded, and his gaze fell on a broken sword that was charred black. The broken sword was just an ordinary iron sword. However, Lin Yu noticed something strange about the broken sword. It was burned off by the flames. Lin Yu was intrigued. A flame that can melt an iron sword in an instant and… His finger lightly brushed the iron sword, and the iron sword in his hand turned into powder. It's so strong, it turned into ashes. Lin Yu smiled, and there was no fear on his face. Instead, there was excitement. Beside him, Yama's heart tightened. Could it be the legendary Heavenly Demon Fire? Heavenly Demon? Lin Yu didn't understand. A smile appeared on Yama's face. Finally, he noticed her for once. But just as she was about to speak, she was interrupted by a voice. Although the human race reigns supreme in the 3 realms and 5 regions, the human race's appearance isn't the oldest in the long river of history. A man walked over from afar. It seemed that he had just arrived in this city. The man was dressed in white and looked like an elegant young master. As he approached, he said, "The demon race, the ghost race, and other races that are completely different from the human race, appeared before the human race in the historical records." Lin Yu and the others didn't say anything and listened to him. This is probably a relic of monsters. Humans occupied this place, and a great war broke out between them. That's why this place became like this. When the man finished speaking, he bowed to Lin Yu and the others. Bai Jiu, echelon of the monster domain, greets everyone. This person was Bai Jiu, who had asked the divine priest of light twice before the opening of the 10-square world. Why are the people of the demon realm following us? After being interrupted by Bai Jiu, she lost the chance to show off in front of Lin Yu. She was in a bad mood and looked at Bai Jiu with hostility. No. Bai Jiu shook his head helplessly. I just sensed that the demonic aura here is different from other places. It's very strong, so I came here out of curiosity. His gaze quickly fell on Lin Yu. Those who were able to enter the sequence were not stupid. Bai Jiu could naturally see that these people were led by Lin Yu. Who would have thought that this kid, who had no cultivation at all, could actually become the leader of these experts? Bai Jiu was shocked. He smiled at Lin Yu and said, "This one is alone. Can I join you?" The 3 realms and 5 territories have always minded their own business. Who would have thought that the people of the 5 territories would ally with us today? Yama said again. Bai Jiu's expression darkened. You're the leader? Yama's expression immediately turned awkward. So what if I'm not? Although she wasn't completely convinced by Lin Yu's leadership, she knew very well that Lin Yu was their leader. If you're not, I'm asking your captain. What does he have to do with you? Bai Jiu snorted coldly, but his tone was still polite. He didn't completely lose his composure. He looked at Lin Yu. What do you think, sir? Lin Yu's expression was calm, but from Bai Jiu, he could sense a cultivation that wasn't inferior to the kill of 3 lives. Plus, this person's temperament seemed to be stronger than the kill of 3 lives. He was a good helper. What do you mean by the demonic energy here is different from other places? Although Lin Yu had already agreed, he didn't immediately agree. Baijiu could tell that Lin Yu wanted to test his sincerity. Therefore, Baijiu didn't hide it. He smiled and said, "The 10-square world was once jointly controlled by the monster race and the ghost race. Humans only occupied a small part of it. The 5-square world above is the ghost race's territory, and the 5 elements world was once the monster race's territory." Baijiu's eyes flashed. "I came from the monster world and grew up with monsters. I can feel that there's a heavenly monster in this city. In the 3 realms and 5 territories, heavenly monsters are comparable to spirit kings, and earth monsters are at the 10,000 spirit realm." Spirit King realm, Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. "Then aren't we finished?" The Spirit King realm was the level of the god ranking, and the strongest among them was only at the 10,000 spirit realm. If they encountered a Spirit King realm heavenly monster, they had no chance of winning. "Don't worry, I can feel that this heavenly monster is still sleeping, and his aura is a bit strange, like—" Baijiu hesitated and looked at Lin Yu. The latter naturally understood that he didn't know whether they were enemies or allies, so he stopped talking. Lin Yu didn't keep him in suspense and said directly, "Since we're in an alliance, what's there to hide?" "Thank you, Captain." Baijiu smiled and bowed to Lin Yu. "There seems to be a seal on this heavenly monster, or he would have already woken up. I wonder who put this seal. It can actually trap a Spirit King realm heavenly monster." Baijiu muttered to himself. Lin Yu could tell that Baijiu didn't know any more information. Where is this heavenly monster? Lin Yu was still interested in the Spirit King realm heavenly monster. The specific direction should be below. Baijiu said. The female king of hell was unhappy that Lin Yu took in Baijiu without asking her. However, Qin Yi and the others didn't seem angry at all. The female king of hell couldn't help but retort, "This city is so big, what you said is nonsense." Baijiu ignored her and smiled. "Captain should understand what I mean." "Is it really that big?" Lin Yu asked. Baijiu smiled in relief. This person was indeed the captain, he was indeed wise. Qin Yi wasn't a fool. When Lin Yu said this, they were also stunned for a moment. This city was more than 100,000 feet wide and it was full of heavenly monsters? To be more precise, this heavenly monster was bigger than this city. Interesting, how do we release him? Lin Yu's sudden words made everyone's expression change. Even Baijiu twitched. Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. Lin Yu shrugged, looking at the dumbfounded faces of the others. He explained, heavenly demons should have their own spirituality. If we can make a deal with them and have them work for us, then in this 10-square world, wouldn't we have a trump card to compete with the Heaven Realm and Primitive Continent? Chapter 803. That makes sense. Lin Xiu clapped his hands. You are still as bold as before. Wealth comes from danger. Lin Yu laughed, and Lin Yuan, who was at the side, also rubbed his hands. Master, how do we go down? Can we just punch through it? As he said that, he had already raised his fist. Baijiu was stunned. What's wrong with this group of people? They look quite smart, but why are they so reckless now? There may be a seal below if we act rashly. Baijiu hadn't finished his words. Just punch through it, that's fine too. Lin Yu's voice came out. Lin Yuan didn't hear anyone else stopping him. Since Lin Yu agreed, Lin Yuan's fist had already blasted down. His battle physique came from the 10,000 Beast War Emperor, plus he was the mutated crystal of the extermination ape and the 8-winged demon python, so his battle physique was far more tyrannical than the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. With this punch, the cultivation of the 4 symbols realm directly formed a tyrannical cyclone, blasting a deep pit on the ground. Sand and stones were swept away, and everyone covered their noses and faces, only to see a complex pattern on the ground. The pattern was like an array, and the moment the pattern felt the strength of Lin Yuan's fist, a rebound force erupted instantly. But when the rebound force attacked Lin Yuan, Lin Yu had already pushed Lin Yuan away first. Whoosh whoosh. The rebounding force soared into the sky like an incomparably sharp energy blade. But this blade slashed through the air. If it hit Lin Yuan, he would have been cut in half at this moment. Scared me to death. The female king of hell slowly breathed a sigh of relief. She stared at the complex pattern on the ground with a dignified gaze. Lin Yuan's punch only blasted open a big pit more than 10 meters deep, and the pattern only revealed the tip of the iceberg. However, the rebounding force was enough to make them tremble in fear. It seems that the captain was prepared. Baizhu looked at Lin Yu with admiration. He seemed to be reckless just now, but in fact, when Lin Yuan made his move, Lin Yu was already prepared to be vigilant at any time. Otherwise, no one would have been able to react in that critical moment. These people looked impulsive and would fight whenever they wanted, but in reality they were very steady. Lin Yu did not pay attention to Baiju's thoughts. Instead, he squatted down and looked at the bottom of the pit that Lin Yuan had made. The veined patterns that were exposed there were carved on a purple-gold stone wall. A dozen meters below the city was actually a layer of purple-gold stone walls. Looks like we can't enter this place. Lin Yu retracted his gaze. Lin Yuan's punch did not cause any movement on the stone wall. Even with his emperor's sword, it would be difficult to split the stone wall. Moreover, even if they had the opportunity to split it open, the recoil force was not something they could casually withstand. There should be other entrances. Baizhu judged. The heavenly demon's aura is even stronger. There is no mistake. He is under this purple-gold stone wall. Baizhu excitedly looked around for the entrance. At this time, Lin Yu saw a formation on the city wall. This formation was different from the earth formation that sealed the heavenly demon. It was a very small formation. To be precise, it was not a formation, because Lin Yu felt a non-lethal fluctuation on it. This is the proof of occupying the territory, Qin Yi said. Lin Yu nodded with satisfaction. Along the way, Qin Yi explained a lot about the three realms to him. This was obviously the information that Qin Yi spent a lot of time collecting. The purpose was to let Lin Yu know more about the situation of the 3 realms and 5 regions. Inject the Yao Qi into it, and you can occupy this city. Qin Yi's bright eyes looked into the distance again. After scanning the surroundings, she said, "This city should be surrounded by a small continent." Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and injected the Yao Qi into it. Soon, the formation on the city wall spread out and spread to the small continent that Qin Yi mentioned. A barrier soared into the sky, enveloping the small continent. The others were also stunned by this scene. They did not expect that occupying a small continent would cause such a huge commotion. The barrier that rose into the sky was as if they were afraid that others would not know that this place was occupied. At the same time that Lin Yu was done, barriers kept appearing in the realm of 5 elements in the distance. 1, 10, 30. It seemed that thunder movement and triple kill had begun to occupy the territory quickly. Lin Yu thought that the reason why they were so fast was probably because they had set up a teleportation formation after occupying the territory. Because the sequence had limited manpower, there were a total of 500 territories here. Including the realm of 5 elements above, there were a total of 1,080 territories. The sequence only had a few dozen people, which was obviously not enough. Therefore, it was necessary to set up a teleportation formation. Let's set up a teleportation formation first. Lin Yu instructed and Qin Yi immediately understood. A teleportation formation would make it convenient for them to retreat and support other territories. This way, when the battle really started, they would have a way to retreat. The entrance is here. Baiju's voice came. Go ahead. I will set up the teleportation formation with them and set up some barriers around it. Good girl. Lin Yu smiled at Qin Yi and turned to Baiju's side. The others started to get busy with Qin Yi. They're not coming over? Baiju was surprised. There's something else. Lin Yu said casually and saw where Baiju was. It was the entrance of a staircase. It was extremely dark. When Lin Yu spread out his divine consciousness, there was a repulsive force that blocked his divine consciousness from the outside world. This place was not to be explored? Are you sure it's inside? It shouldn't be wrong. The demonic aura here is extremely dense. Baiju didn't finish his sentence, but Lin Yu already understood. The demonic aura seeping out was denser, which meant that the seal here was looser than usual. He and Baiju stepped in and used their glory chi at the same time, forming two faint light screens to illuminate the surroundings. This place was a spiral stone staircase that led to the bottom. Lin Yu casually threw a glory chi. After a long time, he didn't hear any sound. It's bottomless. Baiju frowned. Let's be careful. However, just as he finished speaking, Lin Yu jumped off the stone staircase and flew down the middle of the spiral staircase like a free fall. Damn! Baiju was shocked. This kid was too risky. He hurriedly sped up to catch up. However, he walked, while Lin Yu fell directly from the middle. In just a few breaths, he reached the bottom. He didn't care about Baiju's position. He guessed that he was still coming down from the top. Lin Yu slowly approached. The darkness was illuminated by his obsidian chi, revealing the complete appearance of the figure. It was an incomparably huge altar. Chapter 804. There was such a huge altar under the city of the 10-square world. Lin Yu couldn't see the end of the altar because of the dark environment, but he was attracted to the center of the altar. There, countless pitch-black chains gathered together as if they were imprisoning something. Lin Yu felt a powerful aura on the chains. The aura was so strong that it surpassed the 4 symbols realm, the 10,000 spirits realm, and reached the Spirit King realm. Every chain had the aura of a Spirit King realm cultivator. It was hard to imagine, and the aura of those chains was slightly different. Lin Yu could tell that there were at least 100 Spirit King realm cultivators gathered on these chains. But even the current god list only had 30 Spirit King realm cultivators. If the demon god list was included, perhaps there were only 60 or so Spirit King realm cultivators in the 3 realms and 5 regions. An expert of this level was already in existence that was as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. But Lin Yu could already feel the aura of so many Spirit King realm cultivators on this altar. This place doesn't belong to the 3 realms and 5 regions. Or, because the history is too long, the Spirit King realm cultivators who left their auras on it no longer exist in this era. He slowly approached and came to the center of the altar. A domineering wave swept over, and Lin Yu's battle body was instantly annihilated, even if he was at the peak of the 3 elements in one equilibrium realm. However, he didn't even have the right to walk on the altar. Oh no! Baiju was shocked. Because he came from the demon realm, he was far more sensitive to auras than others. He could feel that Lin Yu's aura had disappeared in an instant. Baiju couldn't care too much and jumped down after Lin Yu. Soon, he saw the altar, and not far in front of the altar, blood splattered all over the ground. Damn it, this kid is too impulsive. Baiju stomped his feet in anger. He had thought that he had found a reliable ally, but who knew that it would die just like that? He looked at the altar in front of him with fear. However, at the center of the altar, where the chains converged, there was a ball of blue flame. This flame was not the flame of the mortal world. Instead, it carried an aura of death. However, apart from this aura of death, Baiju also felt an inexplicable attraction. Heaven demon! Confusion appeared in Baiju's eyes for a moment. Because of this confusion, Baijiu took a step forward and subconsciously approached the altar. He had already walked to the place where Lin Yu had died. As they continued forward, the terrifying power enveloped them. It's over. By the time Baijiu regained his senses, he already knew that he couldn't dodge. Just like Lin Yu, he would die here. However, the moment the power swept over, a suction force appeared behind Baijiu at the same time. The devouring starry sky was activated and directly pulled Baijiu's battle physique back dozens of feet. Whoosh! The moment Baijiu left the place, a white light swept in front of him. It was that white light that had killed Lin Yu just now. His body is imprisoned, but his tail can still move? A familiar voice sounded. Baijiu had just experienced a life-and-death crisis and hadn't recovered yet. When he heard this voice, he was stunned again. He turned around and saw Lin Yu standing behind him, unharmed. And his right hand had just dispersed the devouring starry sky. "Thank you, Captain." Baijiu bowed deeply. Lin Yu didn't die and saved him. How did he do it? Baijiu was sure that Lin Yu's aura suddenly disappeared and there were traces of his blood on the ground. Then Lin Yu must have experienced the process of being attracted and killed by the blue demonic fire just like him. But how did Lin Yu escape? If Lin Yu hadn't saved him in time, he would have died on the ground. "Captain, how did you avoid that thing?" Baijiu stared warily at the white light outside the blue fire. "I have my ways. Otherwise, how can I be the captain?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. Fortunately, he had prepared the space-time reset beforehand. Otherwise, he would have really died at that moment. At this moment, he carefully looked at the white light outside the blue fire again. The more he looked, the more he felt that it was a tail. With his combat strength and Baijiu's peak 4 symbols realm cultivation, he was only a step away from stepping into the 10,000 spirit realm. Yet, he almost died under this tail. If it appeared in its complete form, Lin Yu couldn't imagine how powerful this heavenly demon was. "We can't afford to offend this thing. I'm afraid even the experts on the celestial god list can't afford to offend it. Captain, let's go." Baijiu was already frightened by the scene just now. He watched as the white tail retracted into the blue fire, as if nothing had happened. But Baijiu didn't have the greed for the heavenly demon in the beginning. This move was too dangerous. "It seems that I guessed wrong. There might not be only heavenly demons inside," Baijiu said again. But he saw the excitement in Lin Yu's eyes. "Since you're here," Lin Yu's voice sounded, but it was interrupted by the outside world. "Someone is attacking our city," Yi Zichen said. Baijiu frowned. They had just settled down here not long ago and someone was already attacking. He didn't know where this person came from to have such a fast speed. "Captain, go and help them first," Lin Yu said. Baijiu could tell that Lin Yu hadn't given up on the heavenly demon. "Captain, be careful." Although Baijiu wanted to dissuade him, Lin Yu was the captain. Secondly, he hadn't seen Lin Yu's means, but he understood that Lin Yu could avoid the first danger and even save him. Perhaps there was really a way to get close to the heavenly demon. Baijiu stepped into the air and left. Outside world. The people attacking at this moment were Kill of 3 Lives and his group. A group of shrimp soldiers and crab generals actually dare to form a formation beside our territory. But this formation is not bad. Kill of 3 Lives laughed. Beside him were Sure Rulai and White Impermanence. The 3 of them were all at the peak of the 4 symbols realm. Even when facing Qin's group of 4, they weren't afraid at all. "Lin Xiu, join us if you know what's good for you. You and I are both from the Middle Sea area, there's no need to mix with lowly people like them," White Impermanence said to Lin Xiu. A devilish smile appeared on Lin Xiu's face. He had seen White Impermanence's methods with his own eyes. This person was ruthless. Back then, when they were fighting for the sequence in their sea area, White Impermanence had already killed thousands of mortals in order to win, including many women, children, and children. Lin Xiu only found out later that White Impermanence's actions were just to use the blood of 1,000 people to use the last move of his cultivation technique. With that move, White Impermanence successfully killed all his opponents and became the sequence. Then, Lin Xiu no longer had the strength to fight at that time, and White Impermanence was the only survivor other than Lin Xiu. Hence, the two of them became the sequence. But Lin Xiu didn't have any good impression of White Impermanence. In fact, he had long wanted to kill him. After all, when he became the Heavenly Emperor, although he had killed many people, he had never touched those mortals who didn't have the glory aura. That was his bottom line. And people like White Impermanence could kill without any bottom line for their own cultivation. Since you came here yourself, then I won't be polite and will take your life. Lin Xiu's white hair fluttered as a murderous black light soared into the sky. At the same time, raging flames burned in the black aura. That was the golden crow black flames. Chapter 805. Interesting, Lin Xiu, you don't think that you can defeat me just because we are both in the same sequence, right? White Impermanence laughed and spread out his hands. I am at the peak of the Four Symbols realm. You fool, you are only at the early stage of the Four Symbols realm, and you want to fight me? With that said, he took a step forward and his entire body erupted with black and white auras. The two auras instantly formed black and white skulls that locked their cold eyes on Lin Xiu. I'll leave him to you. Kill of 3 lives said. No problem. You have to be quick, there are others to deal with. Kill of 3 lives gaze landed on Chini, she is mine. Excellent, excellent. 10,000 Buddha Hall Shirulai sighed. After you are done, can this poor monk also? Kill of 3 lives face bloomed with joy. White Impermanence also laughed. So Master has such a refined interest. The 7 emotions and 6 desires are the path that must be taken to cultivate my Buddhist Tao. Shirulai chuckled. If you don't experience the 7 emotions and 6 desires, how can you transcend the great Tao? He had a serious look on his face, as if he was already imagining the scene after getting Chini. But Kill of 3 lives was a little unhappy. Master, what do you think of that female Yama? He didn't want to give up Chini. After all, Chini was simply too beautiful. Kill of 3 lives was certain that he had never met such a beautiful woman in his life. This woman has a bad temper, but it's not impossible to sleep with her. As Shirulai said, the Buddha beads on his body had already scattered. The chain with the Buddhist beads emitted halos of light. It was connected to the Buddha bead. On the Buddha beads, Sanskrit chants came out, causing Shirulai to be bathed in holy light. However, it was under this kind of light. The others didn't expect that Shirulai would actually say such shameless words just now. Junior sister, it seems that we have a fierce battle. Yama's face was gloomy. She didn't know why. At this moment, she thought of Lin Yu. This guy and Bai Jiu entered the seal under the city together. They hadn't come out yet and she didn't know what they went in for. After all, Lin Yu was the team leader. At this time, the enemy was right in front of them, but as the team leader, Lin Yu was nowhere to be seen. This made the Queen of Hell a little unhappy. Senior sister, let's just stall for time and wait for him to return. Chini's eyes flashed with trust. The female King of Hell felt a little helpless. Do you still trust him at this point? Facing this group of experts, the battle prowess of 3 lives kill had far surpassed theirs. He was the only expert present who had stepped into the 10,000 spirit realm. As for Shirulai and White Impermanence, they were only slightly weaker. However, compared to them, his cultivation level was still much higher. At this moment, Bai Wuchang was already fighting with Lin Xiu. Lin Yuan touched his hand, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Leave him to me. Lin Yuan's gaze fell on Shirulai. It seemed that Lin Yuan wanted to try Shirulai's Buddhism. As for Chini and Yama, they were stopped by the kill of 3 lives. The heavens are helping me, I actually met 2 stunning beauties at the same time. The kill of 3 lives. Kill knew that he couldn't delay for too long, so when his voice fell, he had already attacked Chinee. Junior sister, be careful. Idiot. The kill of 3 lives. Kill's palm power erupted. It seemed to be aimed at Chinee, but it was actually a diversion to the Queen of Hell. In just an instant, the Queen of Hell struggled to block the palm of the 10,000 spirit realm, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Unable to withstand a single blow, the bitter battle above began. Baijiu came out of the seal and glanced below worriedly. Does this guy really intend to continue to entangle with the Sky Demon? He remembered that Lin Yu's initial purpose was to make a deal with the Sky Demon. But when Baijiu saw the power of the Sky Demon, he had already dispelled this idea. Unfortunately, Lin Yu didn't give up. Kill of 3 lives. Kill. Baijiu stared gloomily at the battlefield in the distance. Well, I will vent on you guys. After being shocked by the Sky Demon, his self-esteem as the number 1 genius of the monster realm had been greatly reduced. At this moment, he urgently needed to prove himself with new achievements. Damn it, why is Baijiu of the monster realm here? Baijiu took the lead to join the battle between Lin Yuan and Shi Rulai. With one move, the fist power of the peak of the 4 symbols state directly broke the 3 Buddha beads of Shi Rulai. Shi Rulai spat out a mouthful of old blood and immediately cursed angrily. No need for you. Lin Yuan's cold voice came, and he actually intended to fight Shi Rulai alone. Are you sure? Baijiu frowned, thinking that there was a gap of half a realm between Lin Yuan and Shi Rulai. But the look in Lin Yuan's eyes told Baijiu that this person had great confidence and certainty. To be more precise, Lin Yuan's current fighting spirit has reached the point of no return. He is eager to fight. It's a bit like those warlike monsters. Baijiu was helpless and had to fly to the side of white impermanence. However, Lin Xiu's eyes were the same as Lin Yuan's. I don't need you here, Lin Xiu said coldly. He had already heard the situation on Lin Yuan's side. Since Lin Yuan doesn't need help, he naturally doesn't need help. Otherwise, wouldn't he be defeated by Lin Yuan? If he can't even compete with Lin Yuan, how can he compare with Lin Yu? His pride doesn't allow him to do so. Go away or I'll beat you up too. Lin Yuan's golden crow black flames soared into the sky, forming a huge golden crow with open wings. The combat power spread out, and the tyrannical Yao energy mixed with the power of the divine object of the sky reflection mirror. Even Baijiu was a little shocked, and Baijiu could feel that this guy really included himself in the attack range. If he didn't leave, Lin Xiu would probably beat him up too. Crazy! Baijiu cursed. It was the first time he met such a weird person. And at the same time, he met 2 of them. He watched for a long time before his gaze fell on the battlefield where Lin Yuan and Kill of 3 lives were evenly matched. At this moment, Queen of Hell and Chinee were already struggling when they encountered Kill of 3 lives. Do you 2 need my help? Chapter 806. As soon as he said this, Chinee and Yama looked at each other, and their hearts were filled with anger. But when he sensed that the 2 women wanted to reject him, Baijiu couldn't take it anymore. If he was rejected again, where would he put his face in the future? This was the sequence battle, and he, the number 1 prodigy of the demon realm, was despised after forming an alliance with humans. Kill of 3 lives, you killed a monster of my demon realm back then. Today is the time for me to take revenge. Baijiu shouted. Kill of 3 lives was dumbfounded. I've never been to any demon realm. How can I kill your monster? But how could Baijiu listen to his explanation? He just casually found a reason to start the fight. Damn it, this is an internal battle of our realm. See. What does it have to do with your demon realm? You're crazy. Kill of 3 lives was furious. Naturally, he didn't know that Bai Jiu had joined Lin Yu's camp. As for White Nine, in order to display his value to the team, he had also taken this opportunity to fight. Although it was somewhat strange, it was something that he had snatched with great difficulty. As such, he had also gone all out against kill of 3 lives right from the start. In the sealed land, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, his face still calm. And in front of him, the blue flame was still jumping. The surrounding mysterious black chains formed an indestructible barrier. Even the terrifying existence in the blue flame could only attack within a limited space of a few feet. And Lin Yu could also see that the tail just now wasn't the full strength of the existence in the blue flame. The strong often yearn for freedom. With your realm, you should want to leave here very much, right? Lin Yu smiled faintly. He knew that the thing in the blue flame didn't react, but he didn't give up just like that. He believed that the other party was, as Bai Jiu said, a top monster that had already gained intelligence. Such a demonic beast was no different from the top experts of the human race. How long have you been locked here? Or have you forgotten the time? That's right, there's no daylight here. Time is meaningless to you. Lin Yu slowly approached the altar, but he didn't reach it completely. He stood at the last safe distance. If he took another step forward, he would be attacked again. You can't come out because your physical body is imprisoned, right? My physical body is sealed, but my divine consciousness can leave my body. Why can't you leave your body? Lin Yu seemed to be talking to himself again. Only his voice echoed around the pitch-black altar. By the way, it's unimaginable for someone to carry such a powerful mind. So, no one would risk their life to be your carrier. Lin Yu shrugged helplessly. After such a long time, there have been many experts. On the demon god ranking list, Lord Heavenly Phoenix has a high position and is the leader. As for you, a small demon, you can only wallow in the dark land alone and never see the light of day. There were a few sighs in his words. As soon as Lin Yu's voice fell, a white light swept across in front of him. The white light carried endless murderous intent. If Lin Yu were to move another 3 inches forward, he would definitely be annihilated again. A few strands of his hair flew up after being swept by the white light. When they floated forward, they turned into ashes. A satisfied smile appeared on Lin Yu's face. He didn't know what the relationship between the heavenly demon and the demon god ranking list was, but it didn't matter. As long as he said a few words about how the other monsters were living freely outside, the heavenly demon in the blue fire would naturally be jealous. Not only were humans jealous, but so were monsters. I can be your carrier. Lin Yu knew it was time. Human, get lost. A voice came from the blue fire for the first time. It was a woman's voice. It was ethereal and filled with killing intent and anger. It seems that the one who locked you here is also a human. Lin Yu guessed again. Lin Yu knew he had guessed correctly when the blue fire surged with anger again. Not all humans are the same. At least look at me. I'm a good person and I've killed many bad people. Lin Yu said calmly. The best way to resolve the other party's anger was to stand on the same side as her. Damned human, how did you survive? The voice came from the blue fire again. Lin Yu naturally understood that she was referring to the fact that he had already died once before, but he was still safe and sound. I have my ways. That's why I said I can be your carrier. Lin Yu's tone became more serious to show his sincerity. After the other party attacked a few times, Lin Yu was very satisfied with the other party's strength. This kind of strength seemed to be stronger than Venerable Wuya, and even compared to the Dark Priest. Lin Yu felt that if the other party could attack with all her strength, she might not lose to the Dark Priest. And the Dark Priest was in the top 10 of the Heavenly God list. You're not worthy of being in the 3 elements in one realm. A wave of disdain came from the blue fire. Hearing this, Lin Yu's face twitched. Forget it. Since you're willing to stay here, just pretend I've never been here. Lin Yu turned around and was about to leave. But he walked very slowly. This was Lin Yu's intention. In the dark land, under the city's thousand stairs, the only sound was the ticking of footsteps. Lin Yu walked up. He didn't fly. And every step he took was to give the blue fire time to think. 100 steps, 200 steps, 300 steps. Just as Lin Yu saw the light coming from above the city, the blue fire in the chain flashed. Unless you step into the 10,000 soul realm. The other party could tell at a glance that Lin Yu cultivated the 3 elements in one realm. And now, the existence of the blue fire plus the conditions of the 10,000 soul realm. This made Lin Yu understand that there was a chance of cooperation. I can step into the 4 symbols realm at any time. Lin Yu stopped. Too slow. Is the divine object in your body just a decoration? The blue fire said again. 3 elements in one realm. Divine object. This was the second secret that the other party saw through Lin Yu. This thing is not complete and can't be called a real divine object. What does it have to do with my cultivation? You're underestimating the heaven and man integration talisman. The blue fire jumped. When she said the heaven and man integration talisman, Lin Yu had already turned around and landed in front of the altar again. I only have the combination talisman, Lin Yu said. And in the blue fire there was a sneer. The heaven and man integration talisman only has the combination talisman. Stupid human, do you think there are a total of 4 heaven and man integration talismans? Lin Yu didn't say anything but nodded. The answer he said he knew in the sky desert universe was indeed so. The heaven and man integration talisman has 5 elements, not 4 talismans. Lan Hua knew that Lin Yu was already interested. However, she kept her mouth shut and didn't say anything. Since you've already decided to cooperate, why are you hesitating? Chapter 807. It was the existence within Lan Hua. After hearing Lin Yu's words, it remained silent. Lin Yu could sense that it was taking revenge on him for playing hard to get. He seemed to turn around and leave, but in fact, he was walking very slowly. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell what he meant. Since you know that I can ignore your attacks, and that I have the 3 essences in one and a divine item, you should know that I can bring you out. Lin Yu said again. If you don't say anything, I'm leaving. I think you need the opportunity to cooperate more than me. Lin Yu smiled faintly. And I, even without your help, with the resources I have, my future achievements will not be low. He had already made his intentions clear. Lin Yu needed Lan Hua's strength, and Lan Hua needed freedom. This was the deal that Lin Yu presented. Humans cannot be trusted. Lan Hua's voice came out. Although it was still angry, Lin Yu knew that this guy's attitude had softened a lot. How can you trust me? Lin Yu asked again. Perhaps because the other party had a female voice, Lin Yu's tone became gentler. After all, this was his usual trick to deal with women. Unless you walk up. Lan Hua suddenly laughed. Walk up to the altar and I'll believe you. If Bai Jiu was here, he would definitely think that the other party was crazy. After experiencing the fear of being almost killed by Lan Hua, he naturally would not agree. But the one standing here was Lin Yu. That simple? Lin Yu shrugged his shoulders and walked to the altar. Think carefully, you can escape from death once, but you might not be able to escape a second time. Lan Hua warned Lin Yu. Flames flickered. The sounds of battle continued to come from above. Lin Yu knew the combat strength of the newcomers. From the sounds of battle, he could tell that they were from Qin Yi and the others, and they had not used their full strength, which meant that the opponents were not strong. Therefore, Lin Yu wasn't in a hurry to leave. He took another step forward. His footsteps shifted, and he was already at the edge of life and death. As long as he continued forward, he would be within the attack range of the white light from before. Why? Are you scared? Lan Hua's ethereal laughter reverberated. His voice was filled with contempt. Sure enough, humans are all the same. Timid, cowardly, untrustworthy, shameless. But before she could stop laughing, Lin Yu had already taken a step forward. You're not afraid of death? Above the blue fire, a white tail flew up again. The tail was incomparably huge, like a white dragon bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws, dancing in front of Lin Yu. On the other hand, Lin Yu's expression didn't change at all. Instead, he smiled mockingly. Meanwhile, he took another step forward. 2 steps, 3 steps, he even arrived in front of blue fire. I'm here. Lin Yu looked down at the flame that was only half a zhang above the ground. Do you believe me now? You are courting death. An even angrier voice came from within blue fire. Lin Yu's actions were clearly provoking her. Blue fire preferred people like Bai Jiu who fled in fear when he saw blue fire. Blue fire was very satisfied with that kind of fear. But Lin Yu was a human who didn't fear her at all. In a sense, he was looking down on her. In the next moment, the white tail shot out and stabbed directly at Lin Yu's head. At this time, Lin Yu's clothes fluttered without wind. But his expression didn't change at all. He was still looking down at blue fire, not even looking at the white tail that was stabbing at his head. This attack was enough to kill him and Bai Jiu in an instant. The white tail approached in an instant. It came out from blue fire, circled above Lin Yu, and quickly fell again. 1 zhang. 5 zhang. 5 zhang. 1 zhang. It was only an inch away from Lin Yu's eyebrows. And it was only an inch away, but it didn't move even half a step forward. You are so confident that I won't kill you? The white tail floated between his eyebrows. Lin Yu saw it clearly for the first time at such a close distance. He guessed right. It was indeed a tail. A fox's tail. Was it a fox spirit? Lin Yu asked in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would be killed. I said that I need your strength, and you need my strength to take you out of here. Lin Yu spread his hands and pushed the tail away. If you kill me, how many years do you plan to wait before you can get out of here? You are not the first human to come in, and you are not the first human to say that you will take me out. Blue Fire's voice came again. Obviously. Her tone was much gentler than before. Others came in here? Lin Yu asked curiously. Too many. Too many. They all died here. There are also many who left out of fear. But they all want my strength just like you. Blue fire flickered. The area around the altar was originally pitch black. Because divine thought couldn't be seen here, Lin Yu didn't know what it was. At this moment, the flame flashed and it reflected hundreds of thousands of corpses. The altar was surrounded by skeletons and bones. It seems that many people have been here. Others might be shocked, but Lin Yu had seen so many corpses and killed so many people that he couldn't even count them. This scene was nothing to him. The white tail was retracted by blue fire. Lin Yu saw this and continued, "Since I have shown my sincerity, it is your turn now. What is the secret of the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman?" Blue fire flickered. The universe is filled with Yao Qi. In ancient times, there was no distinction between heaven and earth, so the Yao Qi back then was heaven. Human is the host of the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman. Now it is talking about you. The Heaven Man Oneness Talisman can devour the Yao Qi of others. You should know this. Lin Yu nodded. This was natural. He had used the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman to devour the Yao Qi of others, but unfortunately, he couldn't completely use it for himself. The Yao Qi was the cultivation of others. After entering the Oneness Talisman, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, disappearing without a trace. Lin Yu had also tried to draw out the Yao Qi inside, but in the end, he failed. You can't use the Heavenman Oneness Talisman now. Blue Fire seemed to see through Lin Yu's thoughts and said contemptuously, how can a mere four-symbol state be qualified to use such a divine item? Lin Yu cursed, if I can't use it, how can I use the Heavenman Oneness Talisman to break through? He remembered that this fox spirit said at the beginning that with the Heavenman Oneness Talisman, he could quickly break through to the 10,000 spirits state. I can help you activate the Heavenman Oneness Talisman and let the Yao Qi fuse with you, allowing you to break through. Of course, whether you can bear my power depends on your luck. Chapter 808. Lin Yu frowned. But is the power inside enough for me to break through? The fusion rune shone between his eyebrows. Lin Yu knew that when he could activate the union of heaven and man, he would need to wait. The fusion rune was a true divine item, the union of heaven and man talisman. If Lan Hua hadn't told him this, Lin Yu might have needed another 1,000,000 years to comprehend it. After all, the description of the union of heaven and man that was left behind in the sky desert universe was wrong. Not enough. Lan Hua didn't even need time to think. Lin Yu guessed that this guy could not only see the fusion rune in his body, but he could also see the power accumulated in the fusion rune. How much more? Lin Yu already knew how to use the fusion rune. It was like a container that could absorb and store Yao Qi cultivation, and this container could only be used by him after activating the union of heaven and man. The most important thing now was to store enough power in the fusion rune for him to break through. 3 or 4 of those weak humans above should be enough. As soon as Lan Hua finished speaking, Lin Yu smiled and walked down the altar. Human, bring them here. I can only activate the union of heaven and man for you. Okay. Lin Yu nodded. Just as he was about to turn around, he heard the ethereal voice again. Human, what is your name? Lin Yu, what about you? You'll know when you save me. Lin Yu smiled. He knew that Lan Hua didn't want him to bring them here just for himself. He guessed that Lan Hua also needed more food to provide him with the power to activate the union of heaven and man. Otherwise, with Lan Hua's limited ability, what he could do was limited. Lin Yu left the underground altar. When he appeared in the city outside, he saw kill of 3 lives, Shirulai and the others. Lin Yu, come and help. Yama shouted immediately, her face full of joy. At this moment they already had the upper hand. It was only a matter of time before they could defeat their opponent. As for the killer of 3 lives and the others, they had also gathered together. One after another, injuries appeared on the 3 of them. Should I kill him? Bai Jiu and the others came to Lin Yu's side. With the appearance of Lin Yu, the battle temporarily stopped. Go. It seemed like Lin Yu's appearance had already predicted that they would run into a wall today. Just Bai Jiu alone was enough to hold back all of the killer of 3 lives. As for Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu, although their realms were only at the early stage of the 4 symbols realm. However, the 2 of them were actually able to fight Shirulai and White Impermanence to a draw. Coupled with Qin Yi and Yama's battle prowess, it was impossible for them to resist. Keep him alive. As soon as Lin Yu spoke, Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu acted immediately and stopped the 3 of them. When the killer of 3 lives wanted to take the opportunity to rush out of the encirclement, he was also blocked by Bai Jiu, Qin Yi, and Yama. Did I let you go? Bai Jiu sneered. He didn't expect that the battle prowess of Lin Yu's camp was so powerful. He was considered to have come to the right camp. Lin Yu, you and I are both people of the Realm Sea. Why do you have to be so ruthless? The killer of 3 lives' face twitched. He was clear about the current situation. He had failed miserably. Not only did he underestimate the battle prowess of Lin Yu's group, but he also didn't expect Bai Jiu to be here. Take him down, Lin Yu said to Bai Jiu. At the same time, dazzling light constantly came from the realm of 5 elements. That was the light produced by the continuous occupation of the territory. And in the realm of 5 elements, at this moment, apart from Lin Yu and the Killer of 3 Lives camp, the strongest third camp belonged to Lei Dong's group, and the current commotion was clearly caused by them. Seems like Lei Dong's people will soon notice this place. Qini returned to Lin Yu's side and said softly. Her beautiful face revealed some worry. Those territories were clearly approaching them like toppling mountains and overturning seas. That was Lei Dong's group continuously expanding their territory. It was different from the realm of 5 elements above. In the realm of 5 elements above, there were people from the heaven domain and the primitive continent. There were also people from the 4 regions fighting. The 2 realms and 4 regions were in the realm of 5 elements. Compared to the realm of 5 elements, the realm of 5 elements below only had the internal strife of the realm C and the representative of the demon domain, Bai Jiu. The competition was naturally much less. Hence, Lei Dong would definitely take this opportunity to occupy more territories. Because he knew that the people from the heaven domain and the primitive continent were destined to come down to the realm of 5 elements after ending the battle above. At that time, he would definitely lose a lot of territories. And now, the territories that Lei Dong occupied were his capital. In a situation where he was bound to lose, Lei Dong was increasing his capital. Let's end this quickly. Lin Yu instantly made his move, directly charging towards Kill of 3 Lives. Lin Yu, you and I are both people from the realm C. Kill of 3 Lives was a little panicked. He knew that Lin Yu had the combat strength to instantly kill domineering Blade Guyi. His true strength was not as simple as it looked. If it was only Lin Yu alone, Kill of 3 Lives would not be so worried. But now, as Lin Yu made his move, Bai Jiu, Qini, and the female Yama also made their moves at the same time. The sound of explosions continuously came from the battlefield. In the distance, the people from Lei Dong's camp had already noticed the commotion here. Those 2 teams of trash started fighting? Boss, should we go and kill them? First, occupy this place. These stinky demonic beasts are a hindrance. Lei Dong snorted coldly. A whip that exploded with lightning in his hand directly killed 3 demonic beasts below. In the realm of 10 elements, not only were they in the echelon, there were also many demonic beasts running rampant. Therefore, their occupation was not as smooth as it seemed. Let's wait for them to fight, then we'll reap the benefits, Lei Dong said. In the city where the heavenly demon seal was located, Lin Yu's group had already taken down Kill of 3 Lives. Damn it, Lin Yu, I won't let you go when I get out. Get out. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows, directly pressed down on the heavily injured Kill of 3 Lives' head, and went down to the place where the seal was located. I'm coming, Lin Yu said to Lan Hua. The hearts of Qin Yi and the others tightened. They all felt a chill and danger in this place. It was their first time here, so they naturally felt unfamiliar. Bai Jiu, on the other hand, showed a more nervous expression than them. Are you afraid? The female Yama asked curiously. What a joke, I've been here before, what's there to be afraid of? Bai Jiu retorted. Then why are you trembling? The female Yama said unhappily. Bai Jiu's eyes, however, saw Lin Yu walking towards the altar. Be careful, the heavenly demon will kill you, he suddenly shouted loudly, and everyone immediately noticed Lin Yu's position, and their hearts trembled with fear. Chapter 809. It doesn't matter. Even after hearing what the others said, Lin Yu only smiled faintly and walked into the altar. Bai Jiu thought that Lin Yu was dead for sure and wanted to stop him, but he was not as fast as Lin Yu. Due to the distance, before Bai Jiu could reach the altar, Lin Yu had already gone in. It's over. This kid is asking for death. Bai Jiu's face was full of fear. He was different from the others. Only he and Lin Yu had experienced the life-or-death attack of the heavenly demon. He knew how terrifying the heavenly demon was. Under the influence of that power, whether it was cultivation or speed, even he, who was in the sequence, was no match for it. However, just as Bai Jiu and the others thought that there was going to be a life-or-death crisis on the altar, Lin Yu's steady footsteps were still heard. Is everything all right? Bai Jiu watched as Lin Yu walked unhurriedly in front of the blue fire. Although only 1/10 of the blue fire was exposed, the people could still clearly see the flickering light on it. It was strange and fascinating. In the beginning, Bai Jiu was attracted by this fascinating feeling and almost died at the edge of the altar. But what was going on now? What are you worrying about? You scared us to death, the female king of hell said in a bad mood. From the beginning, Bai Jiu had been startled when he came in, making them nervous. But now, Lin Yu was in an extremely safe state. There was no danger or certain death. Could it be that the leader has already? Bai Jiu could not believe it. Could it be that while he was away, Lin Yu had already convinced the heavenly demon and reached an agreement? He knew the heavenly demon better than anyone else. The strength and ruthlessness of the heavenly demon were not something that humans could compare to. In addition, the way demonic beasts acted was even more stubborn. Once they determined that they were hostile to humans, they would not let it go easily. But the truth was right in front of him. The heaven demon was no longer attacking Lin Yu. I've brought him here. After Lin Yu said that, his 5 fingers turned into claws. He split the devouring space into 3 parts. At the same time, he pulled 3 lives kill by Wuchang and Shi Tathagata onto the altar. It's a bit slow. A light and seductive voice came from the blue flames. Everyone was shocked. Even Bai Jiu, who had been here before, heard Lan Huahui's voice for the first time. Obviously, this was not the first time Lin Yu had heard this. This flame, is it alive? Qin Yi and the others were shocked. Lin Yuan, who also came from the body of a monster beast, had a strong hostility when he heard this voice. Rather than saying it was hostility, it was more like a sense of competition. He could clearly feel that the one inside the blue flames was a demonic beast that had taken human form like him. However, at the same time, the other party was much stronger than him. This was an instinctive hostility. There is one more interesting little thing. Is it your demonic beast? Lan Huahui laughed again, with a bit of arrogance and contempt in his tone. Lin Yu glanced at Lin Yuan, knowing that the other party was talking about him. It's my demonic beast, Lin Yu said confidently, and there was a hint of deliberate protectiveness in his tone. Don't worry, I won't hurt him, Lan Huahui sneered, but he was also somewhat satisfied with Lin Yu's answer. At least, it seems that this young man has experience in coexisting peacefully with demonic beasts. Let's start. As Lan Huahui's voice fell, the fusion symbol between Lin Yu's eyebrows suddenly burst out with an amazing light. What is this? While everyone was shocked, 3 lives kill and the others immediately felt that the light on the fusion symbol had locked onto them like tentacles at this moment. At the moment when it locked onto them, their power was constantly being sucked away. Lin Yu, let me go. I am from the Middle Current Sea region, you and I are from the Realm Sea. 3 lives kill was extremely regretful, and Shi Rulai also knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. As for Bai Wuchang, he shouted. Lin Xiu, Master wants you and me to cooperate after entering this place. Have you forgotten? Lin Xiu smiled evilly and was too lazy to care. When Bai Wuchang attacked them previously, why didn't he think of cooperating? Now that death was at hand, he played the emotional card. Unfortunately, His state of mind was the same as Lin Yu's. He was never a saint and would not be swayed by such regret before death. After all, they had become like this because they courted death step by step. From the beginning, before entering 10 Square World, he had already warned Lin Yu and the others. After entering, he and domineering Blade Guyi ambushed Lin Yu together. The current situation was just Lin Yu returning an eye for an eye. No, no, 3 lives kill let out a mournful roar. My skill, my skill. The fusion rune burst out with incomparably sacred light and directly swallowed all the strength of the 3. At the same time, the 3 of them quickly lost their vitality. In the blue fire, the white tail flew out again and tied up the battle bodies of the 3 people at the same time. That's it, Baiju shouted. He knew clearly that it was the white tail that had traumatized him from the beginning. As for the others, they also felt an extremely dangerous feeling when the white tail passed by in an instant. Because in the blink of an eye, 3 lives kill and the other 2 people's bodies were gone. A satisfied voice came from the blue flame. At the same time, there was the sound of bones being crunched and broken. Lin Yu closed his eyes because he sensed that the blue fire was controlling his fusion rune after swallowing the battle bodies of the 3 people. This was a very dangerous move. At this moment, if the blue fire used the fusion rune to devour him, he would lose completely. So Lin Yu had already activated the ability to repeat time and space at any time before. He was not an impulsive person who would unconditionally trust a stranger. Fortunately, the blue fire seemed to only be able to detect the divine item and his cultivation, but it could not detect the existence of the system. Relax, human. The monster race is different from you. We won't harm you. The blue fire's voice came. Lin Yu tried to relax his mind. At the same time, the fusion rune's light became even more dazzling. Qin Yi and the others felt a sense of oppression. Lin Yu's aura, the peak of the equilibrium stage, was skyrocketing at this moment. Obviously, he was breaking through to the 4 divisions stage. At this moment, the sound of collision came from above the city again. Someone else is coming. Qin Yi frowned. Now that 3 lives kill and the other forces of the realm of 5 elements had been eliminated, the only one left was the more powerful Upper Sea Alliance. Let's go out and meet the enemy, Baiju said and stepped into the air. At the same time, he glanced at Lin Yu again. Is this what you want to achieve? I hope you can quickly appear in front of us in a stronger state. Chapter 810. Baiju rushed out, while Qin Yi and the others looked at Lin Yu, who was meditating cross-legged. Brother Lin Yu, I won't let anyone disturb you. Qin Yi knew that with Lin Yu's current strength, he could fight with an expert at the peak of the 4 symbols realm. Once Lin Yu successfully broke through, he would even have the strength to fight against a 10,000 soul realm expert. And the upper limit of the sequence's combat strength was the 9th level of the 10,000 soul realm. Because once one stepped into the Spirit King realm, they would be eligible for the God list. In the outside world, the fluctuations of the battle sounded again. And in Lanhua there was also a laughter. Trash from the 10,000 soul realm is here. Looks like your companion won't be able to hold on for long. Lin Yu closed his eyes and was feeling the accumulated energy in the fusion rune, which was constantly seeping into his body. Although the energy in the fusion rune came from different warriors, it had been transformed into the fusion rune. However, this energy had already been converted into the purest form of energy by the combination rune, as if it was the purest energy that originally existed in the world. Only then did Lin Yu know that this was the meaning of heaven in the unity rune. And now, what this person had to do was to absorb all of this heaven-grade energy. Lin Yu felt that he was at the critical point of breaking through. Just a little bit more and he could break through to the four symbols realm. How many 10,000 soul realm experts are there? Lin Yu asked. Lanhua jumped. Kid, do you want to die? You still dare to be distracted at this time? Lanhua reprimanded Lin Yu, but he observed that Lin Yu's state was still stable and calm. Good kid, you have such calmness at such a young age. You can multitask. Even with Lanhua's experience, he couldn't help but praise Lin Yu at this moment. 2. So your companion won't be able to hold on for long. An hour. Lin Yu gave the time himself, and Lanhua agreed. However, Lin Yu felt a strange sensation. He had clearly already reached the peak of the three elements in one equilibrium realm, but why was he still missing the final step? However, at this final step, even with the inexhaustible influx of energy, it still wasn't saturated. There's a problem with my four symbols stage, Lin Yu asked. Lanhua chuckled. Do you think that a person who has fused three elements into one has a four symbol stage? Lanhua's words made Lin Yu frown again. This was the second time he felt that the knowledge he received was wrong. It seemed that what he had learned in the Sky Desert universe was still incomplete. At least in the three realms and five domains world, the history here was so long that the Sky Desert universe couldn't compare to it. Hence, the information was much more accurate. In addition, Lanhua was an old monster who had lived for tens of thousands of years. Lin Yu naturally believed Lanhua's words. I don't have the four symbols stage? Of course not. A long time ago, the four-star realm was known as the half-step transcendent immortal realm. That is an incomplete realm that only belongs to ordinary martial artists. When he heard about the half-step transcendent immortal realm, Lin Yu suddenly became more curious. Half-step transcendent immortal realm. That was the hierarchy of the Sky Desert universe. He had just thought that the Sky Desert universe's history was shorter than the three realms and five domains world. However, Lanhua's words had overturned his view. Emperor of Equalization, half-step transcendent immortal realm, is the 10,000 souls stage. Lin Yu mentioned the hierarchy of the Sky Desert universe. This time, it was Lanhua's turn to be stunned. How do you know? From a small world I know. Lin Yu's bright eyes were filled with memories. He had been reincarnated in that world for 100,000 years and had experienced more than 30 million repetitions of a day. He had also understood all the knowledge there. A time that doesn't belong to the three realms and five domains world. After Lin Yu finished speaking, Lanhua suddenly said, Sacred Land Ruins? Sacred Land Ruins? Lin Yu knew that these words represented different meanings. You will know in the future. Lanhua did not give an answer directly. Instead, he smiled and said, With your current strength, you are not qualified to know about the sacred land. After listening, Lin Yu could only close his eyes. He knew that now was not the time to delve into it. After all, the others were still outside waiting for him to break through. As for him, he only had an hour. I don't have the four symbols state. Once I break through, I will be in the 10,000 soul state. Lin Yu's bright eyes were filled with realization. At this moment, he no longer carefully absorbed the energy. Instead, he let the symbol between his eyebrows form a monstrous energy cyclone and frantically poured it into his body. I see. You have been holding back just now? Lanhua thought that Lin Yu's initial absorption speed was his limit. However, now it seemed that Lin Yu might have thought that he would break through to the four symbols state at any time. Therefore, he deliberately lowered his absorption speed to prevent accidents such as chi deviation from absorbing too quickly. However, Lin Yu now knew that he did not have the four symbols state. Therefore, if he wanted to break through to the 10,000 soul state, he would need more energy than now. Even if I absorb all of it, it's still not enough. Lin Yu frowned. More than half of the remaining energy in the symbol had been used up. With your current speed, you might be able to break through in an hour. Lan Hua smiled in satisfaction. Suddenly, a white tail appeared again. Now, it's your turn to bear my power. The white tail floating above Lin Yu's head was like the most lethal blade in the world. The blade was above his head. If White Nine was here, he reckoned that he would have already run away in fright. Lin Yu, on the other hand, looked very excited. He knew that it meant that the Sky Demon Blue Fire was about to merge with him. Kid, hold on. This is what you promised me. The white tail instantly fell and collided with the symbol. The vertical was the Sky Demon's power pouring in. The horizontal was the symbol's energy cyclone. At this moment, Lin Yu was bathed in the two forces. His divine sense suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. He felt that in this altar world where divine sense could not be used to observe, his divine sense could actually penetrate everything here. 10,000 Soul Realm experts. Lin Yu saw that Bai Jiu, Qin Yi, Lin Yuan, Lin Xiu, and Yama were fighting with all their might. And their opponent was only one person. There were a total of 10,000 Soul Realm experts. One of them did not make a move. Instead, he looked at the battle with contempt. He seemed to be looking for someone. He did not care about the people here. Instead, he was looking for someone who killed domineering Blade Guyi. In front of him, the other 10,000 Soul Realm expert was constantly letting out creepy laughter. As his laughter came out, ferocious demonic shadows turned into endless skulls and attacked Qin Yi and the others. Boring, too boring. No one can fight, ha 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 ha. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.